The following program contains sensitive material that may be unsettling to some audiences. The Pedantic Pedestrians are not responsible for any injuries or paranormal activity that may occur during the viewing of this program, including, and not limited to, whiplash, bipolar disorder, a sprained ankle, or demonic possession. Viewer discretion is advised.
Two guns. Do you want to, encourage people to respect the host? So funny, Chad.
When you see people laughing. Like, pause it. What did he say? Whenever it sounds like he said.
So we're live?
Nope.
Well, anyway, Shadisky, why did we miss the stream last Saturday?
I was doing a countdown to when Gene losed his virginity.
Yeah, well, anyway, how did the Logan Paul thing go?
Just went all right.
All right.
I only got like 2,500 views, Jane, and I'm unhappy about it.
Yeah.
Okay? I was expecting 25 million views.
Well, anyway, I guess it worked out because we're doing our little Halloween special. And I guess Dirt's dressing up as a bodiless floating head or whatever. It looks like Dirt assaulted Danny, and Danny's all bloody and stuff.
Whoa, what the heck?
Or is that just the chroma key?
No, she's just on her period. It's not a big deal. It's normal.
Got it everywhere.
Yeah, she's just a little messy today. No big deal. She ran out
There's only 3 concurrent viewers. Where are all the viewers? Where did they go?
They all left as soon as you started bitching about the view count, John.
Oh God, this is the bitch about view count podcast again.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, we don't have the exact amount of viewers as I want right this second. What the heck?
Anyway. Oh, you 5 people watching right now, you're worthless.
You 3
Let's
people.
talk about some more obscure killers that a lot of people might not know of.
Except for John, he knows about all of them.
Yeah. So, do you know who Jesse Pomeroy is?
So you stole my idea,
Yeah.
Gene.
He's the youngest serial killer in American history.
This
looks like one.
Yeah. Look at that image right there.
He
looks like a little Lucifer child.
He just looks weird in his eyes.
I guess he looks more innocent there. So his early childhood and background, he was born in 1860 in Charleston, Massachusetts. Was bullied often for being very large for his age. And he also he had some kind of birth defect in his eyes, so I believe he had a glass eye in his right eye. He had a glass eye. So it was bullied because he didn't like sports, and it was the 19th century where people didn't have video games and stuff. So pretty much one of the only things you could do is play sports with other kids. So he was an avid reader, and his favorite topic to read was about archaeology. And his father, a Civil War veteran, reportedly beat him with a horsewhip on a regular basis and ordered him to strip down naked as he went about the process. Maybe that has something to do with it. That's a common theme that you'll see when we discuss a lot of these killers. So his parents sent him to a reform school in 1873 after he developed a penchant for physically and sexually assaulting young boys. He also developed a habit of murdering small animals. At the age of 5, his neighbor claimed he stabbed a cat to death and threw it into the river. So it seems like he was kind of a problem child.
Well, what else was there to do back then in 1860?
Yeah, I would have been doing this too.
Oh, and there's his glass eye. So here's his foray into crime. So Pomeroy developed the alias as the Boston Boy Fiend. So this is before he started killing. So before being a serial killer, he was kind of a serial assaulter and mutilator. So he went through a process of luring his victims with sweets and then violating them disfiguring their faces and genitals with a knife and pins. Survivors gave a description of his appearance to investigators, which was published in the Boston Globe. One boy was found tortured on the beach, and another was found beaten, raped, and tied to a telephone post that September.
So, this is your hero, Jane, huh?
No. But,
Don't lie.
you compare it to a lot of other serial killers, and he's pretty fucking crude and vicious, even compared to a lot of the more, like, infamous, like, modern killers. So I guess that's the image that was posted in the Boston Globe. So he was arrested. So Jesse Pomeroy was arrested for his assault at 13 and was sentenced to 6 years in prison due to continuous appeals and testifying from his mother. He was released after only serving 6 months. So his mother, Ruth Pomeroy, I believe she like divorced like his father. She actually she knew that he was committing these murders and everything, so she sent him to reform school, and she moved around Boston like several times because of his behavior. So she went out of her way to kind of protect him and try to put him through reform, and he I guess it was kind of hopeless. But you do got to give her credit, even though he was a terrible fucking killer. She still saw something in him. So, Pomeroy's series of murders. So, a missing girl, Katie Curran, was found dead in the basement of his mother's shop. The body of 4-year-old Horace Millen was found nearly decapitated and dumped on the beach. So, I believe his footprint was found at the beach. So that's one of the things they used to try to identify him and everything. And when they were investigating, it's like somebody claimed that they last saw Katie at his mother's shop and stuff. And then when they looked into it farther, they found her body and various other bodies children found that shared the descriptions of the previous victims. So his arrest and sentencing. So that's him as an adult. Pomeroy was he confessed to and was convicted on 27 accounts of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to death for his crimes. The state governor refused to sign the execution order due to his age, so his sentence was commuted to life in solitary confinement. It was not until 1917, 41 years after his imprisonment, that he was allowed to socialize with the other inmates.
41 years of solitary confinement is a long-ass time.
Yeah.
It's a long, long time to just be wasting away.
And that's 1860, 1880 solitary confinement.
Yeah.
So have you heard of him?
To talk to, probably.
The Stoneman Killer? So this was in India, and they started finding all these homeless people, and they found that they were just completely decapitated. Their skulls were just completely crushed into dust with these huge boulders.
So this one was you, John. This is some murder, huh?
They never caught him, so he's kind of their Zodiac killer. He's kind of like their Jack the Ripper.
No one suspects an American, John.
So here's some notable facts, since they have no clue who it was. Stoneman is estimated to have killed between 13 to 26 homeless people. Most of the murders took place in the city of Mumbai. The stones used by the killer were roughly 33 kilograms, roughly 66 pounds. The crimes began around 1986 and ended in 1988. In 1989, the crime started again, but in the city of Calcutta.
Okay, so not quite. This is just what you were copycatting, huh?
I believe these murders took place before I was born.
Yeah, that's why you had to copycat these the modus operandi, Gene.
Are there other documented cases of people getting murdered this way?
Not yet, John, because you're too good.
Oh, okay.
They haven't found it.
So this is Aline Warnes. So
I've seen her.
Yeah, she's known as the first female serial killer.
That we know of.
Yeah. So her background So she was born in February 29, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan. Her father committed suicide in prison, serving time for child molestation, but her mother abandoned Wernice and her older brother, Keith, around the age of 5. Raised by her grandparents, with her grandmother being a chronic alcoholic and her grandfather being incredibly violent and emotionally unstable. Wernice was sexually abused by both her grandfather and older brother. She ran away from home in her early teens and became pregnant, giving the child up for adoption. So she was notably abused. Pomeroy was notably abused. Do you think the Snowman Killer went through abuse?
No, he probably had a perfect life.
Yeah.
He probably had nothing to complain about, that guy.
So her crimes and prosecution. So Aline had a lengthy criminal record throughout her adult life, as well as many unstable relationships. So she was charged for things like robbery and battery and many various crimes. She was known for being a misandrist. Yes, she hated men, having a strong hate towards men. She identified as a lesbian and made her money working as a prostitute. So from mid-December 1989 into the fall of 1990, she shot and killed 7 men on the Florida freeway, using hitchhiking as a way to get the men to pull over. So essentially, it was kind of like, I guess as a female killer, she's not as gruesome as others like the Stoneman or Pomeroy. It's just like she gets them to pull over, hitchhiking or like acting as a prostitute. They pull over like, hey, what's up? And she just shoots them.
She doesn't get in there with them?
Huh?
She doesn't do anything with them?
Yeah, she
Like,
just...
damn, Shabs, like, if you're going to kill me, at least blow me first.
Yeah.
At least
Damn,
torture me and like
Well, no, I was just expecting she'd like
subject me to like 1,000
get him
cuts
to the place
with a box cutter before you kill me.
I would just imagine that they'd like she'd get him to the place where they're giving her money.
At least burn me alive.
I don't know. But I guess that's
No,
just
but,
skipping right to it.
She did claim like self-defense. She did like claim that she murdered every single person out of self-defense. And then when they arrested her and they were like interrogating her, they did eventually get her to confess. But then later in court, she went back to like claiming that she wasn't guilty of any of the murders and it was all like out of self-defense again. So once you see interviews with her, you see just how unhinged she is.
I got a message that Eileen wanted me to come meet her at the local jail. She had something to say.
Whoa.
Okay, I cannot go in the execution chamber and die in the execution chamber as a liar. And I cannot go in the execution chamber and be executed under the devil. I have to come clean and cleanse.
Her speech is pretty repetitive.
I like
Cleanse
how
my spirit in the name of Jesus Christ.
she wants to make sure that she doesn't die a liar, but you know she can murder a bunch of people. But oh my God, if she died without telling the truth about one little thing, I wonder what it is.
Well, Shab, you don't think? Do you think that a murderer is the kind of person who would lie?
No, they're too good for that.
Christ. So I have to come clean and tell the world the lies that went on through my mouth. I mean, now prosecutors and cops.
And that you killed the 7 men.
Huh?
That you killed those men in cold blood.
Yeah, and I got to come clean that I killed those 7 men in first-degree murder and robbery.
So here she is, like, confessing to it, but then there's other interviews and stuff where she's like, oh, no, I didn't do anything, self-defense.
As they said, they had it right, a serial killer. Not so much like thrill kill. I was into the robbing biz. I mean, you know, serial killers are in this thrill killing jazz. I was into the robbing, just and eliminate a witness. But still, then again, I got a number, so it's serial killer. But I'm coming clean before I go in that execution chamber.
So I guess she robbed them as well, which it's kind of odd, like Pomeroy and everything. And you'll see another killer later on. It's like they weren't given the death penalty. They almost gave Pomeroy the death penalty, but she killed like 7 people. And her kill count's kind of small compared to a lot of those other killers. So
compared to Gene,
like they're giving her lethal like injection.
Be executed. That I killed him.
And so
like
when
this.
you met them from the beginning, did
it's
you know
equal
they were
rights,
gonna kill
Gene.
them
Okay,
when they picked you up?
equal
in the car?
rights.
I pretty much.
Danny, why don't you think there are that many like female serial killers?
Because they haven't got caught.
So you're saying women
Women
are more Machiavellian
Yeah,
and are more meticulous with their crimes?
you think
men are
that's
just
fake
stupid?
blood on Danny's face, dumbass? No,
Yeah, really?
I know that's her
Fucking hell.
neighbor's blood.
Danny's
Jeez.
saying that women
Oh,
are
it's
less
his blood.
careless and reckless than men.
Ah.
That's- God.
We
So
need
if there's
blood
ever murder,
dripping.
we know who's behind it.
I pretty much had them
This
selected
hedgehog.
that they were going to die.
But when you're saying that there was no self-defense, so there was no self-defense.
No, there was no defense. I'm being really straight up.
Her teeth
Are
like
very nice, I know. I agree.
About everything. There's no self-defense. I'm really sorry what
Very
happened about
symmetrical
everything.
evil.
I was in this. To me, this world is nothing but evil, and all of us are full of evil, one way or another. In whatever we do, we have evil in us. All of us do. And my evil would just happen to.
Yeah, I don't have any evil in me. I'm the most morally and ethically pure person on the planet.
come out because of the circumstances of what I was doing. Hitchhiking, hooking, on the road. I was a homeless person all my life.
was
And then
hooking?
hitchhiking, hooking, I learned off the homelessness and cruising all over the
I
United
like
States
that
of America
term.
and stuff.
You never
And so
heard the term
learning how
hooking?
to be a hooker as a hitchhiker.
A hooker.
Eventually got
Yeah.
tiring. In the end, I carried the gun for protection, but then I got where I was getting a real problem. Our rent was due, $1,200 behind. Tyra was doing a lot of beer drinking and stuff. She wanted to go out all the time, so she was burning up the money I was making. I was making good, about $200-300 a day, sometimes.
But did
Sometimes
she, and
150.
did she know what you were doing?
Oh yeah, Tyra.
Do you
was-
think prostitution should be legal?
Yeah.
Legal and regulated.
It is for Shabisky.
Yeah.
No, I wish. I would order like 12 right now. No, like you gotta go up to what's it called? Pahrump?
Another city.
You gotta go up to Pahrump.
Well, to be fair, it's like if it's legal, they're not going to be kind of like harangued by some pimp. They will be paying taxes. It will be regulated, so they might have to like have testing to make sure they don't have any STDs, and then it would be documented if people are like sleeping with them and stuff. So if somebody does infect them with some kind of STD, they can face criminal charges for that. So I think it would make things much safer for people overall.
I knew everything I was doing.
So you were very close.
Yeah,
All right.
Oh,
and I still
what do you think of her smile?
miss her, and I still love her, and I'm really sorry about everything I've done. I miss Ty. I lost Tyra over this, and then the people that lost their loved ones and everything. I really think first about the people that lost their
Oxide
loved
in
ones,
the
and then
chat
Ty
says
second.
sex work is
Is that-
poggers.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Isn't poggers like some little 80s kind of toy?
Yeah,
that
Pogs?
Pogs?
Yeah. dude.
Pogs.
Oh.
But what does that person mean in the chat though? By the
It's pog, dude. You can flip them and trade them and collect them all.
okay.
Shad
collect
needs to
them.
switch from Pokemon to Pogs.
Yeah.
He said it means sex work is pretty cool.
Oh,
Oh.
if you didn't
Seems
know.
like he's got stuff figured out.
I have to put them in first on this whole thing. I'm really sorry for them losing their loved ones, man. I know the feeling.
And what about with Richard Mallory? Because you
See,
gave
it
that.
seems like woman killers have more empathy than the male killers. Seems like they care about the victims' loved ones and everything, and the loss of their relatives.
Testimony with Richard Mallory.
Yeah, Richard Mallory was not self-defense. Richard Mallory I killed him I needed his wheels to move the stuff, and he had the right amount of money I needed to move into the apartment, so.
But what about the testimony that you gave in
I
court?
don't know. It just seems pretty
You
indifferent.
feel the remorse dripping off her.
Yeah. I just needed his wheels and everything. It was convenient.
About,
Well, that's just, like I was saying,
about the Visine and
I was just doing a lying biz. That was just my lying gig, trying to beat the system.
really, so that was really all. None of it was true. Because in court you gave such a graphic description of what had happened with Richard Mallory.
Yeah, after sitting around thinking how I could drum up a story.
It was pretty convincing.
Was it? That's
Well, I thought so.
God, that's sad. Well,
And it's not that you just decided that you wanted to die and you wanted to get it over and done with that you changed your story?
No, the reason is it's serious. There's
yeah,
no way.
that's another thing. Like they discussed that she kept like doing a bunch of appeals or whatever, but then she just kind of abruptly is like, "Oh no, I killed them." And a lot of people think she just confessed because she just wants to get it over with, speed up the process. She doesn't care about dying.
And nobody should go in that execution chamber dying on a hope for a lie, and even by the second, make it out of this thing on a lie.
But I heard, that you just couldn't stand being on death row after 12 years.
She's not a liar.
Nick, this is the last time I'm going to say it. You have to kill Eileen Warnes because she'll kill again.
Well, sure, she's being honest.
I think she's a nice person.
Would you let her kill you for your wheelchair?
Yeah, she can have my wheelchair.
I'm prepared. I'm all right. I'm all right with it.
Her last interview.
I'm all right with it, but like I said, remember, let them know that I know that the cops knew who I was after Richard Mallory died. I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up. And let me kill the rest of those guys to turn me into a serial killer.
Wait, what?
Because there was no
Yeah, this is like where
oh my
you
god,
can tell she kind of just goes through psychosis.
So,
like,
yeah, this is crazy. So she's claiming here that the cops in her first serial killing, they covered up her tracks so that she would continue to become a serial killer. That's what she just said, right?
Yeah,
it's like
and everything, and
yeah,
here
wow.
she goes into like word salad, like crazy mode.
serial killer or anything. I don't murder or whatever you want to call it. It wasn't special at what I was doing.
Eileen,
I did some sloppy work,
how have you prepared yourself for tomorrow morning?
I'm all right with it. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Hey, I was tortured at BCI. They had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.
Since 1997, they've been using sonic pressure on
Some Alex Jones, David Icke
Yeah.
kind of claims here.
Sonic
And every time I was trying to write something, I think they had some kind of eye in the cell, I'm not sure, but every time I started writing something, it went up higher. So I'm thinking that probably had the TV rigged. The TV or the mirror.
What did she say? Like she was writing something.
The TV or the mirror, something was rigged. They got a huge satellite on the call, I'm not sure, but every time I started writing something, it went up higher. So I'm thinking that probably had the TV rigged.
So when she was trying to write something, they had the TV or mirror rigged to alter the physics. So I guess she couldn't write. It caused some kind of, I guess, positive magnetic attraction, which caused it to repel or something.
That's super psychosis.
The TV or the mirror, something was rigged. They got a huge satellite on the compound. After they put the huge satellite on the compound, could have been either rigged to the TV set or the mirror or something, because the electrician, when he put the mirror on the wall, he said, doesn't that look like a computer? The back of it, and they stuck it to the wall.
And do you think, did that affect your mind, do you think?
Huh?
Did that affect your mind in some way, the sonic?
It was crushing my head, and they were using sonic pressure
torturing her
continually. Then when I had 3 meetings with Miss Villacorta on it, every meeting I had, she increased the pressure of the volume of the comm, increased the harassment on the floor, increased the trays being inedible, just increased every bit of my complaints, and trashed all grievances. They were trying to make it look like I was crazy at all times, rig up the room with torture.
Wow.
I don't think they have to try to make it look like she's crazy.
Yeah.
But what if they did, John?
They were slowly but surely making the food unedible.
They're shooting her with the sonic physics alteration ray right now, and that's what's making her seem like kind of unhinged at this moment.
If I said anything about I think their whole plan was to try to make it look like I was totally crazy, and so nobody would believe anything I have to say about anything, and then drive me there if they could. I suffered so bad. I was really struggling to survive. Had a lot of trays that were attempted murder and everything. I had to wash all my food off. And then one day I didn't wash my food off, and I was sick for 3 weeks, almost died.
But you're okay now.
I'm okay. God is going to be there. Jesus Christ is going to be there. All the angels and everything.
God, now she really sounds crazy.
Nope, this is proof right here that religion is a good thing in this world, Jim. Okay?
She's going to be absolved for her sins, John. She's going to be washed in the blood of the Lamb.
You don't think she'll go into a lake of fire?
Hell no, she's
like
here
beaming me up into...
repenting to Jesus Christ in her final moments, Gene.
Yeah.
Don't you know nothing about Christianity?
Don't you think God's an asshole? Like, creating this person who's
Would
like
an asshole
crazy
let
and
you into their
allowing.
kingdom of heaven if you murdered somebody, even if you just said sorry at the end? Would an asshole do that kind of thing?
Maybe.
The space vehicle, man. Then I move on to-
I have no fucking clue how religion works because you talk to religious people, it's just a bunch of word salad and interpreting language however you want.
recolonize to another planet or whatever, but it's whatever's beyond. I know it's going to be good because I didn't do anything as wrong as they said. I did the right thing. And I saved a lot of people's butts from getting hurt and raped and killed too.
So now she's
Chad,
claiming
you're
that
making a bunch of noise.
now she's claiming that she was a hero and she was saving people in
She
reality.
helps society by shooting those people, and killing them.
I did a lot of good.
And it's like if she did it like once or twice, maybe like you could buy into the self-defense plea, but she killed like 7 people in the span of 6 months. So it's like the likelihood of her finding herself in the scenario where she had to use deadly self-defense, I think is highly unlikely.
Are you saying that you killed in self-defense or in cold blood? What do you? Because you changed your story. I'm just trying to.
What are you talking about? Change story on what?
No, she doesn't lie. She tells the truth.
About whether it was self-defense or not.
I'm not going to say, I'm not going to get into depth about my cases, Nick. I'm on my way to change it.
Nick.
I'm stopping it.
Yeah,
Believe
fucking
it or not,
Nick.
I have to believe it. That's up to you, man.
Fucking
Put a big question
dick.
mark on your film.
What more is there to say about the cops? What more do you want to say about the cops?
A lot of stuff. Did you know that they were surveilling me before I killed? And then I knew it? And that it was covered up? Did you know there was helicopters dropping down from the sky, deputy sheriff, with decoys picking me up 4 or 5 months before my arrest? It was covered up?
Picking her up?
Wait, so she's claiming that like deputy helicopters were stalking her and harassing her before she even committed any murders.
Picking her up too. I guess in the helicopter?
No.
They don't even.
Nobody ever asked me these questions?
I don't know.
You land in her front yard and they're like, you're coming with
Yeah,
us.
come with us. No, they don't even land. They just put down a rope. They're like, get up, bitch, get up.
They put down some like noose or whatever last.
We need to cover up your fingerprints. Get up.
Yeah.
The cops were following you or not?
Oh, whether cops are following me or not, Eileen,
Okay,
what?
let's say the cops were following you.
Yeah.
Let's say they were following you and they did everything that you're saying they did. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
you killed 7 men.
Yes,
and
you
I'm
did.
asking you, what got you to kill the 7
And
men?
I'm telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't
But
you get it?
Not everybody is killing 7.
They wanted it to happen, and the helicopters were shooting her with the sonic physics ray. They're the ones behind it.
People. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to
Oh,
do
you
that.
are lost, Nick.
So
I was a
explain-
hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble.
Nick's the one who's lost. God, he needs to be more rational like her.
Like shoot the guy if I ran into trouble.
He needs to use her like brand of reasoning as like a template for how he needs to think.
Physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets, and then we'll pull her in.
But how
That's
come there
why.
was so much physical
Vigilante
violence? It was all in
justice.
1 year. 7 people in 1
Oh
year.
well. Oh well.
But why not say no?
Oh, well.
Because I'm out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years in total pathological lying. Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my fucking life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial. Couldn't even get a fair investigation or nothing.
So
Couldn't even have.
the police and everything, the sheriff, physics ray, helicopter squad conspiracy, like they're the ones that are murdering her or whatever.
My appeals right. You sabotaged my ass, society, and the cops, and the system. A raped woman got executed. It was used for books and movies and shit. Ladder climbs, re-election, everything else. I got a big finger in all your faces. Thanks a lot. You're inhuman. You're an inhumane bunch of
eyes.
fucking living bastards and bitches, and you're gonna get your asses nuked in the end. And pretty soon it's coming.
She's
2019,
claiming
arrest
she
supposed to be anyhow.
got
You're all
she
gonna
got
get nuked.
raped. Is that what she say? She's saying.
Yeah, that's apparently a fact. She was abused as a child.
Yeah.
Wait, is she talking about her childhood graping she dealt with, or
mean,
graping
maybe,
from
I
these
don't
people
know.
she
Well,
killed?
she might be claiming that some of the people that she killed, or maybe some of the when she worked prostitution, maybe they
Yeah, she
done
probably
it,
fucked
but-
them and then killed them, and then goes on to claim she got raped. Wouldn't be surprised coming from this woman. Like,
Or maybe it was all a plot from the CIA to frame this woman to make
it was
books
the
and movies. and
CIA.
shit.
Yeah, it was all about movies and books in this show, this
Yeah,
episode.
they raped her in the helicopter.
Yeah, this
take
episode.
They
this.
did it all for this episode.
This and just sabotage and rip it apart like Jesus on the cross and say thanks a lot for all the fucking money I made off of you, and not care about a human being and the truth being told. Now I know what Jesus was going through.
Oh, so she's saying that it was like a plot to frame her so they could make all these books and movies off of her to make money. So they used her as like a vessel for like capitalistic gain.
Yeah.
They've been trying to tell the truth, and I keep getting it stepped on. Concerned about if I was raped, I'm not giving you book and movie info. I'm giving you info for investigations and stuff, and that's it. We're gonna have to cut this interview, Nick. I'm not going to go into any more detail. I'm leaving. I'm glad.
Nick's being unreasonable.
Pepita would.
Okay, so
I'd like to know
what do you
if
think? Do you think she's innocent? Do you think she's giving a good case?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd fight for her justice.
Oh,
flip
boy.
a coin and let her out if it hits. Whatever, just let her out.
Well, she's a victim.
I don't know. I heard she gave some pretty good head when she was hooking, so I think she should be let out. Okay. What do you think those teeth are all fucked up, Gene? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think maybe meth is the reason for that.
Meth and blowjobs.
So, have you ever heard of him? Luis Garavito, the Colombian devil.
He doesn't look that scary.
So, he holds the record for the serial killer with the largest kill count. The largest victim count. I don't want to spoil it, but we'll get into
KD.
Yeah, how many murders he's responsible for. So, his past, let's see the parallels between him and the previous murderers we discussed. So his father, Manuel Garavito, was a chronic alcoholic, and he was known for subjecting his children to severe physical abuse. Seems to be a pattern here. The oldest of 7 siblings, with his younger siblings accusing him of abuse at an early age. So he was abused, and then he abused his siblings. He apparently got into many heated arguments with his father over his father's suspicion of him being gay, which Lewis denied. However, the fights led to Lewis running away from home at the age of 16. So living on the streets as a kid who became the victim of rape. So he was on the streets. Bad things happened to him. And he joined a street gang to survive being homeless. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like he had the best childhood or the best upbringing. So I don't know, like his younger photo, it doesn't really make him look like much of a killer, but he definitely seems like he just is broken. His older photo. Okay, so his major victims were children, young boys living on the street, and in Colombia, like they'll state that like you don't really see homeless adults, you see homeless children. So there's a little video of Colombian street kids.
Wow, how educational and informative.
Yeah.
God
Here, let me
damn.
make sure there's no copyright.
Miro en la calle a ese niño con su pelo largo y mal oriente, parado frente a un bote de basura, buscando un pedazo de pan para
So like, remember the movie like City of God, where it's just like the parents just kind of abandon their kids or are just pathologically involved in their kids. So there are these like just shanty towns and slums where it's like you have kids from like 6 to like 18 that are just running around in gangs with guns and getting into these like turf wars and everything. It's kind of similar in Colombia.
buscando un pedazo de pan para sobrevivir. Es increíble llegar a compararse a una.
It's incredible to end up comparing yourself to a rat.
Porque su padre lo sacó.
Your father has sent you to the
No quiere que
streets.
sea en casa y tiene que ir a.
Yeah, so instead of putting your kid up for adoption, you just kick your kid out when they're like 5 or 12.
Comida o a pedir comida como mendigo sin ser mendigo.
Pass by and look at the fast.
De una entrevista de una obra, resultados, final. Entonces, eso me da mucha satisfacción de ver a ese niño gozoso, con una sonrisa, salir sintiéndose Alguien
So
necesario.
this is about a dude who's got a home for these kids. That's good. That's positive.
Here, I think we
trying to help.
we got the gist.
Yep.
It's annoying. Okay, so
Ah.
yeah, so essentially, like bodies, like all over Colombia, started piling up. Like at first, he was really good at hiding like the bodies. So he would like bury like 12 different kids in the jungle or in the swamps and stuff like that. And it was a while before they started to actually find some of the bodies. But one of the big things that they used to pretty much track them down was forensic facial reconstruction of victims. Now the problem here is there's a dilemma because they were children. So like there's like a kind of I guess scientific method that they use to reconstruct the faces of adults, but with children there wasn't really a method to use at the time. And one of the big issues is that children's skulls are more delicate. Their eyes are proportionally much larger. Children's skulls are much larger relative to their bodies. Because kids are constantly growing, it's like there could be a notable amount of change within a small amount of time. So, Artin Dwaga, his name's kind of difficult to pronounce, he actually came up with his own set of parameters. So he was a forensic investigator in Colombia, and he used other young boys that had similar like physical characteristics of the victims in order to kind of create his own kind of formulas for reconstructing the faces, and it did eventually pay off. So here we get into the criminal profiling of Luis Garavito. So at all the crime scenes, they found like similar liquor bottles. So they also found his eyeglasses at one crime scene. So, like, throughout the years, like, he was murdering dozens and dozens of kids. And he would use, like, he would pretty much lure the kids with candy, or if they were older, he would, offer them work or employment, and he would lead them to some, like, remote place, and then he'd have his way with rape and then murder. And he eventually got careless, and he fell asleep kind of drunk in like kind of a sugarcane farm or whatever, and things caught on fire. So they found his charred glasses there. What's that?
Sounded like he said he was getting crunk.
He's getting what?
Crunk.
Crunk, Gene.
Gene?
Damn.
Well, they found his charred glasses there, and they were abandoned at the crime scene, a pair which are prescribed for conditions affecting those within a 40 to 60 age range. Also, the arms of the glasses were bent, which indicates that the wearer's ears had a specific type of asymmetry. So his shoes were also found at the crime scene where the fire took place. So the right shoe had an unusual frame in its heel with no sign of pressure on the front of the shoe, so indicating that the perpetrator had a limp in his right leg, additionally indicating that his feet his feet had to be smaller than the size of his shoes. So his estimated height. So based on, like, I guess his shoes and like the glasses or whatever, like, which they could use to determine like the size of his head and the angle of like the victims and where like all the items were placed, so forth, they were able to predict that he was between 1.6 to 1.67 meters. So they were also able, like, so where all the murders, like in southern Colombia, so where a lot of the murders were taking place, where they're investigating, like they're looking for the children and there's missing reports. People would claim that, oh yeah, like he came here and he paid this many pesos and so on and so forth. So they were able to trace like 180K pesos were chased to the killer in southern part of the country, in the city of Ipiales, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Ipiales.
So the process of elimination from the Colombian criminal database. So initially, 3,000 criminals were brought up who committed sex crimes towards minors. 1,500 perpetrators were left when excluding crimes towards girls. 95 were left after excluding perpetrators under the age of 42. 45 were left after excluding those not within the 1.6 to 1.67 height range. And then 25 were left when narrowing it to those who committed crimes in the area where most of the victims were found. So, I mean, I find that to be kind of interesting how, like, you wouldn't think that, his shoes being left behind, his glasses being left behind and everything, that would result in them being able to narrow down the, like, perpetrator to just, like, 25 people. So, the 1996 case of the 12-year-old Ronald Delgado in Tunja. So due to the case resembling many of the murders in IPL's Bogota, investigators decided to investigate it. After interviewing a store owner and multiple prostitutes, they testified that they last saw the boy in the company of one of the men within the 25 suspects, Luis Alfredo Garavado. And Luis Garavado was arrested and investigated for the boy's disappearance, which put him in the database, where he was later released due to insufficient evidence. So the boy disappeared. They didn't know he was murdered, but pretty much they arrested him, interrogated him, and I guess he came up with a decent enough story where they just let him go. So further investigation revealed Luis Garavado was a native of the town Genova, the town where the first 3 victims were discovered. And then Garavado also lived in whatever that town's called, yet another town where several other bodies of children were found. So at that point, it's like they kind of know he's the killer. They are putting his face and stuff like all over the media and the papers, on television. So at this point, it's just a matter of when somebody reports him or calls the cops in. So at this point, they succeeded in reconstructing the faces of 4 boys. They put those in the paper and everything, and the relatives came out and were able to identify them. And then investigating further, they were able to connect, like, Garavado again with their disappearances. So once they started looking for him, hunting him down, and they confronted Garavado's relatives. So his sister provided the authorities with an assortment of his own personal items, which contained documents, photographs, and mementos of his travels to various towns and cities where the murders took place. A box of notebooks and journals detailing the murders in depth. A receipt to money wired to a woman from Piera, another area of interest where a murder took place. And it's just like, there's so many fucking murders to the point where it's like, oh, in this town, 7 bodies, this town, 3 bodies, this town, yet another body. So when they tracked down the woman in question, after interviewing the woman in question, she provided a suitcase of Garavito's, and which he left behind in his travels. The suitcase containing many documents of his travels from 1994 to 1997. So it contained bus tickets, photos of key locations, and newspapers, all linked to different murders, were among the documents. So razors, fibers, and lubricants, which were all found at nearly all the crime scenes, were found in the suitcase. So at this point, they know he did it, and it's just him being on the run. So based on the one crime scene where they found, like, the shoes and everything and the glasses, they also determined that he likely had a burn on his left arm. So a pharmacist came out and testified that he treated Garavito for the burns described in the media. So here we get to his arrest. So a man admits to killing 140 Colombian kids. Now, it's estimated that he killed between 140 to 400 children. So they don't know how many kills to associate with him. They've gradually found more and more bodies, and but he definitely he holds the unfortunate record of having the largest kill count. So his conviction, confessed to killing 147 boys. He was charged for the murder of 138 victims. It is estimated that he is responsible for the deaths of 138 Georgia children. His initial sentence was 1,853 years behind bars. The sentence was reduced to 40 years due to his cooperation with locating the bodies. His sentence has further been reduced to 22 years for good behavior in prison. He is eligible for parole in 2023.
What?
I think they're a bit too lenient here. I think if you murder, like, 150-something people, maybe you shouldn't get out.
All he has to do is be a bit manipulative and act good while he's in prison, and then it's like, hey, I can get back out and get back to killing children. Awesome! Fuck yeah! Next year, I can't wait.
Like in South America,
it's like, what the fuck?
Like in South America, they do have some pretty kind of lenient policies when it comes to sentencing. Like, I know a lot of South American countries have some of the shortest times when it comes to statutes of limitation. And like a lot of like the max sentencing in a lot of countries is only like 15 years or something. And it's like you had a lot of Nazis fleeing to like Argentina and Chile and stuff. And a lot of them got away with it because they refused to like extradite them back to Europe for like to be charged, because their statute of limitations is like 15, 20 years. And they actually kind of gave them asylum. So what do you think? Do you think he's been reformed in those 22 years?
Yeah, he's a good person now. Just let him out now.
And apparently they just kept him secluded from all the other prisoners, probably for a good reason, because he raped and killed like 140 to like 400 kids.
You know what they should do before they let him out? They should just test out some stuff. You know, have him like teach a class of kids for a couple months.
Okay, well,
you know,
you mentioned that as he's been in prison, he's actually been taking classes, and he claims that when he gets out, he wants to work on like helping kids that are victims of sexual assault.
Oh, he's gonna help them, all right.
Yeah. Do you think he should be allowed to work with children at all?
He should not be allowed to be anywhere near any sort of children, like, place, like, not just schools, but, like, different, I don't know. He shouldn't be, like, within so many yards of any of those places. He shouldn't have even been let out at any point anyways. You should never be convicted of killing over 100 people and raping them on top of it. And they're all children, and then it's like, how do you go from 1853, almost 2,000 years, to 40 years? Like, what the shit? This is part of what...
You seem a bit too draconian and unforgiving.
This is part of what bothers me with doing all this serial killer stuff, is you get to learn that, like, all these people did this crazy shit, and then they're just going to be let out when they're, like, a little older than I am or something. And it's like they're still very able-bodied and still very capable of committing the same crimes, if not worse, when they get let out, putting everybody in danger that is in his vicinity at any time. It's silly, you know. Like, you want a mass shooting, you want a bombing, you want that shit. Yeah, throw this guy back out on the street. You want a bunch of dead kids. He's eligible for parole.
Do you think they're actually going to release him?
Who knows?
Looks like it. It looks like when he's eligible for parole, if he doesn't get released in 2023, he'll probably get released another 10 years later. So I'm looking at what they're doing, and that's no good.
You think it's a conspiracy, like Elaine?
Yeah, everyone is capable of that, Oxide, but he's shown that he's far more capable of doing that kind of stuff than others.
He's more willing to do it.
Yeah. Who's more dangerous on the street? Me walking down the street stoned and thinking about Pokemon, or this guy walking down the street thinking about whatever's going on in his head? Probably something you don't want to even think about.
I agree. I think if we're going to lock up people for life, it should be probably the dude who killed and raped 400.
140 people. Why? I don't know why Oxide is acting. I don't know why Oxide is acting like that's a silly comparison or something. It's a silly comparison to compare him with the average person. He's not the average person. Someone who kills over 100 people and rapes them, and that's somebody who's not the average person. Surprisingly enough, I know I look like I probably killed 0 people so far. I know, it's surprising. Not even 100 yet. Maybe one day. I'm pretty sure everybody else here has the same numbers going on, Oxide. I feel like everybody in the chat probably has the same numbers going on as well, surprisingly. And I think he's beating us by a lot. If we were in some sort of
South Korea, where the
competition. Whoa! Another 150?
Okay, so let's get to the news. Dude, why is this video quality so bad?
It's told now tops 150 in the crush of people.
Yeah, so you have heard of this, the South Korean Seoul crowd crush?
No.
We're out celebrating Halloween. Many of the victims.
What's that?
Heard about it when I read the title of this stream.
Yeah. Well, apparently, lots of people died in a Halloween crowd crush.
Suffocated in narrow.
Which, like, there was the Indonesian, in Indonesia, the soccer game, where it was something like over 100 people died or whatever, because the cops came in and shot all the tear gas, and then a bunch of people died for being crushed when they were trying to escape from the stadium.
Alleyways. Today, families rushed to
dresses Mario.
Community centers, anxious for news about their loved ones. And we've learned at least 2 Americans are among the dead, including a student from the University of Kentucky. ABC's Mac Gutman reports in tonight.
Well, now it's serious, since there were some Americans that died.
Seoul.
In Seoul tonight, what started as a joyous Halloween street festival, ending with screams, those terrifying crowd surges, and that image of first responders desperately trying to revive dozens of victims. Officials estimate more than 100,000 revelers packed the streets of the Itaewon neighborhood, famed for its nightlife. Officials saying that at least 153 of them are dead tonight. 37 more in critical condition.
Well, to be fair, that's more victims than pretty much all those killers we covered.
Real quick, so that person in the chat said, and they're talking to Mace, they said, so is no one able to repent or change after killing someone? Is his
unforgiving?
Is his KD too much to say yes he could ever change? Yes. That is in fact the truth. Yes. Where do you draw the line? When people
really
have
kind of harsh to this guy who raped and killed potentially 400 kids.
Yeah, and it's proven 140.
It's only
it's like
147. I mean, come on.
Yeah, where do we draw the line? It's like I think 140 is good enough where we can draw the line and be like, yeah, this person probably should spend the rest of their life in prison. I don't think that's too harsh.
To be fair, 140, that's 13 less than the people that died.
We're supposed to live in a kind of in a society where if you killed one person, why
are you disagreeing with the Colombian government?
It should be something like that. Most of your life is gone to prison. If not, you should maybe get life in prison for doing that. I think that's very logical. To even are you disagreeing with the system?
It's just a shill for
See, if it was up to Oxide, Hitler would just be free running around right now instead of being in prison. That's where he's at, right? In prison, Gene?
It's in Antarctica.
Yeah. If it was up to Oxide, he'd be running free on the streets right now, being all Hitlery. Okay? Can't believe you, Oxide.
Well,
Hitler supporter.
Hitler's only responsible for the death of tens of millions of
what,
people.
You think people can't repent? Okay? You think people can't change, Gene?
Well, to be fair, Louis Garavito, he didn't kill millions of people like Mao or Hitler, so...
Yeah, you're right. He is pretty cool. I agree. He's a cool guy.
Condition. The revelers were coming by the thousands from each side, down below here, and from both sides up above. And this alley is just 14 feet wide. There was nowhere for anyone to go. American Janelle Story was right in the middle of the crush.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Recording what ultimately became one of the deadliest crowd crushes in decades.
I just saw in front of me this mass of people running and pushing and screaming and panicking.
Janelle made it out.
She's not Korean.
I've never
Australian
heard
natives
of the
Vernity's
term
friend
crowd
swallowed up.
crush.
I saw both of my friends' hands.
Really? The whole Travis Scott thing that just happened?
I didn't hear. I guess I didn't read enough on it to see the term crowd crush. I don't know.
Yeah, people get trampled and yeah.
I get
Gotta
that.
pay attention more to these stories.
Shut up!
Yerim Kim, she was at the bottom, and I just was grabbing her hand saying, I'm gonna get you out.
God damn.
But then she disappeared.
This video showing unconscious young people
He's in distress.
being carried through the crowd, shoes missing from their seemingly lifeless bodies. It was nearly an hour before first responders were able to wade in at around 11 p.m.
And then the emergency services arrived.
Wait, you see that guy waving?
Is he
Yeah, he's probably like, hey, send fucking help.
And they were just
Well,
pulling bodies out.
well, no, he was smiling. It seemed like he's like, hey, I'm on TV.
Rosa
Like he's
rescuers
waving to the
performed
camera.
CPR on some of the fallen. For many, it was too late. The deceased, many still in their costumes, put in those blue body bags lining the street. Upon hearing the tragic news, relatives collapsing on the ground. The State Department confirming 2 Americans among the dead, one a nursing student from the University of Kentucky. The President and First Lady tweeting today, our hearts go out to their loved ones in this time of grief.
One man says that he was trapped on a ledge just watching people die. Matt Gutman joins us now live from Seoul. Matt, South Korean authorities certainly have a lot of questions to answer about how this happened.
And right now, authorities say, Lindsay, they just
American authorities would never allow this to happen.
don't have the answers to what people are asking. Like, how is it possible that there were only about 200 officers here for 100,000 revelers? How is it possible that organizers didn't
100,000 people at like that gathering?
anticipate tens of thousands of revelers in the first Halloween festival with lower COVID?
See, you know, like Times Square, like on New Year's. It's like that seems like a recipe for disaster. That seems like that could easily result in a very large death count for like some kind of crowd crush event.
Restrictions. Now, here's what we do know this morning here. Every single fatality happened in that alleyway behind me. Some of them teens, too young to even have an ID. Lindsay.
Wow, Matt Gutman, our thanks to you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
That's awful.
Turn overseas now because South Korea's national police are apologizing tonight for not assigning enough officers to a Halloween celebration that turned deadly. The crowd was estimated at 100,000 people before a deadly stampede.
You know what's kind of crazy about this kind of thing? In a way, a bunch of people murdered and got away with it. Like, it's kind of crazy. Well, I mean, in this case, like, a bunch of people got killed by a bunch of people, right?
But I don't think they're the ones that like murdered them.
But I'm saying like a bunch of people got away with murder. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, like if somebody like stepped on a girl's face or something, yeah, it's probably murder.
I'd say it's more like manslaughter or.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of an interesting part of this. There's a bunch of people that killed a bunch of people in reality, and that's, I mean, not
it's like the same thing as like. A lot of it is like the people in like these kind of situations, they don't really have anywhere to go. It's like the path of least resistance, and it's like there's so little space. It's like what else? They just happen to be the ones that were in the position where they were on top instead of on bottom.
Well, it's their fault.
54 people, at least 2 American college
You
students.
look at how like apathetic and unforgiving Shab is. I bet you think all those people should go to prison for like.
Yeah, look at these Americans that got killed. Perfect Americans.
Images from the scene are disturbing. Here's CBS's Elizabeth Palmer.
Koreans today were paying their respects and still trying to absorb the scale of this tragedy, which started out as a Halloween celebration on Saturday.
I think North Korea was behind it. I think they planted some saboteurs there.
Whoa, Alex
to
Jones.
cause the to cause like
Whoa,
the
Alex
crowd
Jones.
surge or whatever that led to all the victims. What?
Saturday night. Thousands of mostly young people flooded into the narrow streets of Seoul's nightlife district. But the crowd grew into a lethal crush, and the Halloween party
God
turned
damn,
into a
dude.
Seems like a really terrible way to die.
Arrived just 10 minutes
I
after
know,
the first
it's-
SOS call,
and-
but for many it was already too late. Janelle's story was in the crowd.
Why are people trying to like
Panic
record their
coming
last
towards us.
moments?
Some
I don't know, dude. Like,
What else are you supposed to do?
Fair enough.
To be fair, like you record and stuff, it gives investigators something to work off of.
Fear,
Yeah.
but also confusion. We didn't know really what was happening to us or in that moment.
It became horribly clear when body after body was wheeled from the scene. Most of the victims were in their 20s, including 2 American students. Ann Gieske from the University of Kentucky, niece of Brad Wenstrup, Republican congressman from Ohio, and Stephen Blessey from Georgia's Kennesaw State. Steve Blessey is his father.
The embassy called us late Saturday night, and when they said the words, "Are you sitting down?" I knew what the next words were going to be.
Their families, along with dozens more across Korea, are reeling with grief after receiving news no parent should ever have to hear.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they say at some point that there was a bunch of people on the outside pushing? Like,
I mean, that's just naturally like what happens in the.
But is that not like a? Yeah, but I'm just. Is that deliberate? Were they deliberately going on the outside and pushing people in?
Well, no, like I don't know exactly.
That's what it kind of sounded like at one point when they said this.
But I mean, that does happen. It's not even like being trampled and stuff. Like, there were scenarios where, like in certain tourist attractions and stuff, where people are in close quarters in certain rooms where, like, there's just so many people in there where they start to get, people will die from just being crushed. And they actually have computer programs, like, where the cameras will try to, like, monitor, like, the amount of people in there and, like, the area and stuff like that. So that is a problem. It's more common than you might think.
Officials in South Korea are combing through security camera footage and social media videos to determine what sparked that stampede that left more than 150 young people dead. That includes 2 American college students. As Jim Murray reports, the victims' families are haunted by the way their loved ones died. And we should warn you, some of the images in this report may be upsetting for viewers.
The father of an American killed in the Halloween stampede in South Korea is speaking out today. Stephen Blessey was a 20-year-old college student from Georgia. He was in South Korea on a study abroad program.
I texted him, I guess it was like an hour or so before this tragedy happened, saying, I know you're out and about, but I love you, be careful, or be safe. And that was the last text between us. There was no response.
Hours later, he learned Stephen was one of 155 people crushed to death.
Look at all those bodies.
Most of them teens and young women in the disaster in the capital city's nightclub district. He says he's haunted by the manner of his son's death.
It's not an easy way to go. It's a horrible way to go. It's like drowning, but above water.
Stephen Blessey was with Anne-Marie Gieske, the other American student killed. Anne-Marie was a student at the University of Kentucky. She just celebrated her 20th birthday. And we've learned she's the niece of Ohio Congressman Brad Wenstrup, who called her a gift from God to our family. This is what it was
more important.
like in the midst of that deadly crush.
Oh my God, oh my God.
100,000 revelers in Halloween costumes were packed into the narrow streets, and only 137 police officers were deployed to control the crowd.
Well, like, I don't get it. Like, when there's that many people crammed in, like, one setting, I don't get how people enjoy themselves in those kind of environments. Like, those kind of large gatherings. Like I said with, like, Times Square, I just don't get why people even, attempt to, like, show up at those places. It seems like it would be just fucking hell.
The disaster happened in this densely packed alley, just 14 feet wide. Dr. Sophia Akiat, a dermatologist from Florida, was vacationing in Seoul. She shot this video just before the crush.
I just did the best I could with both giving CPR and directing it, but we realized that many of these people have actually died already.
The tragedy occurred in an alley similar to this one. Thousands of people jammed into a space roughly 14 feet wide. Crowd safety expert Paul Wertheimer is here. What's the first thing you do?
Save your oxygen. Don't yell and scream. You need all the oxygen you can.
He showed me how to use a boxer stance to protect myself in a crowd crush.
You put your arms up to protect your heart and your chest so that you can continue breathing, and you make space between the person in front of you.
Damn, Shab's gone. He's not going to know what to do. He finds himself in a crowd crush.
We'll survive.
Well, now we know, and knowing's half the battle.
That you're being crushed against.
And if you fall, try to lie on your left side. Why fall this way?
Because it does 2 things. One, it gives me a chance to protect my heart a little bit, and because in this position, my lungs can still function.
Oh my God, oh my God.
The street festival was especially crowded because this was the first Halloween event in 3 years because of COVID lockdowns.
So we should blame COVID. Okay, I think we've covered this enough. Okay, so let's get to bridge collapse, kills 141 people.
Oh, wow. There's another. Oh, my God.
Okay, that bridge does not look like secure at all. So, I think this is in India, so yeah, like the infrastructure here is pretty poor.
A bridge collapse in India has left at least 141 people dead. The Morbi Bridge, which ran across the Machu River in western India, collapsed on October.
Yeah, so it's just like a suspension bridge with like no foundation. Yeah.
30th.
No wonder it fucking collapsed.
A surveillance camera caught the moment the suspension bridge fell, plunging the pedestrians 33 feet down. Estimates say there were about 400 people on or around the bridge at the time. Footage shows survivors of the collapse clinging to parts of the bridge in the water. Reportedly, over 177 survivors have been pulled from the water so far, as well as at least 141 casualties. Officials say more dead are expected. Trained rescue crews, as well as everyday citizens, created human chains to pass victims of the collapse onto dry land. The Morbi Bridge was built in 1877. The bridge had just undergone repairs and had reopened to the public a week ago. Officials in India have arrested 9.
It went through repairs that, I don't know, like in the U.S., like whoever the inspector was, they should probably face criminal charges.
People in connection with this tragedy. Homicide charges have been filed against the agency responsible for maintaining.
Yeah. And like, once again, like, they don't have any pillars, like, they're acting as foundation and whatever, so if too many people, like, form in the center, it's the path of least resistance, it's just gonna cave in.
Bridge. An investigation is ongoing. This is Inside Edition Digital.
At least 140 people have died after a cable bridge collapsed into a river in the western Indian state of Gujarat, officials said. More than 170 survivors were pulled from the Machu River. The 761-foot-long bridge had just reopened after undergoing repairs for 6 months. Investigators trying to determine why the bridge, built in the late 1800s, collapsed and who may be responsible. 9 people, including managers of the bridge's operator, Arriva Group, have been arrested so far. A case has been opened against Arriva for suspected culpable homicide, attempted culpable homicide, and other violations.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
Your wiener's small, Gene.
An investigation by
So here's something that isn't a story about, like, 140-something people died.
NGO has found that China has set up over 50 unofficial police stations in at least 21 countries. The unofficial police stations are allegedly being used to intimidate and silence Chinese dissidents abroad. Following the investigation, Dutch media found evidence
There's
of
one in New York? Dude!
Jesus Christ.
I want to troll the fake Chinese police.
Dude, we should go to China and set up our own, like, fake investigation agency.
Dude.
Just to cause, like, disarray and havoc within the region, to destabilize, like, the towns and everything.
2 unofficial Chinese police
Look,
stations
it's like most of fucking Europe.
operating in the Netherlands. The Dutch Foreign Ministry says their existence is illegal. The Chinese embassy there says it is not aware of their existence. And a hooligan is outside the Chinese embassy in The Hague. Have a listen.
This is, of course, the official base of the Chinese government here in the Netherlands. But according to the allegations detailed in this report,
They're among us. They're going to take over the planet.
Beijing has been operating underground, undeclared policing units, ostensibly to tackle transnational crime and deal with administrative duties, but actually, in reality, according to the report, to carry out persuasion operations aimed at coercing those suspected of speaking out against the Chinese regime to return home. The original investigation
Fuck the
was
Chinese
conducted by a Spanish
regime.
NGO.
Okay.
So they're going to try to take people that have, like, dual citizenship and try to get them to go home so they can charge them for, like, sedition, like, for the government.
Safeguard Defenders. It's called Chinese Transnational Policing Gone Wild. And in this report, they say the public security bureaus from 2 Chinese provinces have established 54 overseas police service centers across 5 continents and 21 countries. Now, Dutch journalists took that information and found one Chinese dissident based here in the Netherlands. His name is Wang Jingyu. He says that he received a phone call earlier this year from someone claiming to be from one such station. And during that conversation, he said he was urged to return to China to sort out his problems and to think about his
So
parents.
they say, like, illegal police stations, so it's like, is it like Jeremy Dwight or those previous videos we covered where they're actually, like, dressing up as cops and they don't have, like, any of the licenses and stuff like that, or are they just are they just kind of there in the shadows and stuff and working undercover to, like, persuade these people to return to China?
Since then, he says he has been subjected to a systematic campaign of harassment and intimidation, which he believes is being orchestrated by the Chinese government agents. Earlier, I spoke to the Dutch Foreign Ministry. They said the Dutch government wasn't made aware of these operations through the diplomatic channels with the Chinese government. That is illegal. They said they would investigate and decide the appropriate response depending on the nature of any covert operations. They said they were concerned and police would be offering protection to Wang Jingyu. Beijing has also responded. A Chinese Foreign Ministry.
So it seems like it's just 20, like, agents that kind of act as civilians, and then they're assigned to stalk and harass Chinese citizens that have dual citizenship overseas and, like, all those different countries.
Spokesperson said what had been described as police stations overseas are actually service stations for Chinese citizens abroad, and that China fully respected other countries' judicial sovereignty.
Oh, okay.
That's how
you believe what China claims? They're just there to help their citizens abroad.
Anna Holligan reporting there from outside the Chinese
I think
embassy.
this is just a bunch of Western propaganda to run the name of China into the dirt.
The Hague. I'm joined now by Laura Hath, who was part of the investigation team that discovered these secret police stations. Thanks very much, Laura, for joining us here on the program. I mean, 50 unofficial police stations across 21 countries. It sounds just extraordinary.
Yes, and it might just be the tip of the iceberg. These are the ones that we managed to document.
Do you think the United States has illegal police stations across the globe?
I mean, if that's what you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. They're more like military bases.
Just taking into account official Chinese authorities' sources. So we did not invent anything. We just took them for their word. And I think the most worrying thing of this is how brazen it is all getting. The introduction gave a quite good overview of how these persuasion to return methods work: threats, harassment, guilt by association, punishment of family members back home, sending covert agents abroad, or using this.
So they're gonna punish the relatives and arrest them in order to pretty much hold them hostage. If you come home or whatever, we'll actually, I guess, acquit your relatives and everything. It's kind of like North Korea, where if you escape from the country, they'll take your relatives, and it's like that 3-generation policy. Arrest them for the crimes of for other people.
To persuade, coerce people into returning to China. Obviously, as safeguard defenders, we know we've been documenting these kind of methodologies.
So China, pretty Orwellian, like people talk about the U.S. and stuff for being a surveillance state, and we're more of a capitalistic surveillance state, getting all these Apple and Amazon products in our homes that all have cameras and stuff. But China, it's like they have their own version of the internet censored by the government. They have a Black Mirror kind of system that has facial recognition, and they have a social credit score. And if your social credit score gets too low, you're barred from leaving the country. And it will monitor people in a store, their purchasing habits and stuff like that, how much time they spend on the internet, and pretty much based on your daily habits and behaviors, it will lower the score that will interfere with your ability to get work. And so China's going down the 1984 route.
Especially in our prior report, Involuntary Returns, we know how this is part of a nationwide framework that has been set up by the Chinese Communist Party to really crack down on this and hunt people down across the world to make sure that the overseas Chinese, that the diaspora communities, and I'm thinking in particular also of those
They need to let them know, China, the government, they're always watching. You can move to another country, but you're still not safe.
Whoa.
Still going to monitor you, and if you speak out against us, we're going to hold your family hostage and harass you with our secret overseas police to get you to return home, so we can charge you for sedition towards the government.
Religious minorities, Uyghurs, Tibetans, Falun Gong, but also, for example, Hong Kong activists, how they would remain silent or be coerced to return if not.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's unclear whether 50 is just the tip of the iceberg. Were you tipped off and your team tipped off about this, or as you say, was it just the Chinese embassy officials themselves telling you this?
Well, basically, we were tipped off because we were following these kind of persuasion to return methods. We were tipped off by the Chinese authorities themselves. So we had reported prior that under Xi Jinping's signature international campaigns, Skynet and Fox Hunt, over 10,000 people have been returned in the past year.
So we're watching at 1.5 speed.
Yeah, but they talk weird.
Anyway, I think we've covered this enough.
North and South Korea have exchanged warning shots along their western seaboard. South Korea's military says its Navy fired those shots to repel.
Now, to be fair, North Korea does shit like this every 6 years. But now that China's threatening to take back Taiwan and all the stuff's going on in Ukraine, it's it's one thing if it's just Europe fighting, but it's we discussed it with two guns. What happens if China takes advantage of the Western NATO countries being occupied, and they attack Taiwan, and then North Korea attacks South Korea. It's probably not going to be good.
North Korean ship.
A lot more people are going to die than all the people that died in Crowd Crush.
That had crossed into the sea boundary between the north and south. Pyongyang's military says it responded by firing 10 artillery shots as a warning to the south. Our correspondent in Seoul, Jean McKenzie, says military tensions.
Just recently, they fired a missile, or I think a few missiles over Japan
on the peninsula have risen in the past few weeks.
This happened overnight. A North Korean ship, according to the South Korean military, crossed this borderline in the sea and into South Korean waters. Now, the South Korean Navy issued warnings to try and stop the boat from crossing, and they fired warning shots to get it to stay back, but it crossed anyway. North Korea then responded to the shots that had been fired by the South Korean military by a couple of hours later firing what it said were warning shots of its own. But this border between this sea border between the two countries is disputed, and you have to remember that these countries are still at war technically. So these sorts of incursions can be quite serious, but often accidents do happen along this seafront. What's interesting about
Korean War never really ended.
What's happened overnight here is that the South Korean military, the South Korean Defense Ministry today has come out and said that they think that this incursion, as they're calling it, was done deliberately, and that they are concerned that North Korea could be using this as a way to sort of increase tensions and build towards what could be future and even more serious provocations. Because, as you say, we are at a situation now where tensions on this peninsula are probably the most heightened they've been in about 5 years. It has been really quite a remarkable month, even by North Korean standards. Not only has this been a record year for their missile testing, but in the
Why
last...
don't we just make sure every country has 30 nukes? But don't you think that would make the world safer?
Yeah. And they should
divide the U.S. and Russia's large nuclear stockpile and just make sure that every country has an even number of nukes.
This month in particular, we've seen them launch a barrage of missiles. They've held a series of military drills and flying their warplanes right up near to the border with South Korea. We've seen them fire hundreds of shells of artillery into the sea. And all this, as you say, is...
Now, we think of nukes and everything, but with North Korea, on the border, they have a very large setup or deployment of artillery, and Seoul, the capital of South Korea, is very close to the border. So it's even without nuclear weapons, if they just fire all that artillery at their major cities, population centers, that in and of itself is going to cause a huge level of collateral and probably millions of deaths.
Ramping up this kind of military tension on the peninsula, but it comes at a time where South Korea and the United States have been holding large-scale military exercises of their own. Now, the backdrop to this is, of course, that the two sides, North Korea and particularly the United States...
Do you think the United States doing that we're the antagonists, we're the ones provoking the other side?
...have been at stalemate for many years. Their negotiations about North Korea's nuclear program have been stalled, and in the meantime, North Korea has been continuing to build up its weapons and to continue with its nuclear program. Now, the way that South Korea and the US have responded is to bolster their defense of the peninsula and hold these large-scale military exercises. But what it's done is it's antagonized Kim Jong-un, who hates these military exercises. But rather than being a direct response to the military exercises, there is some...
Say excuse me.
Say bless you to Shabisky.
Next video.
Bless you to Shabisky.
Now, there have been some extraordinary scenes at China's ruling
look at this.
Congress.
So at a conference in China, they actually had the previous president escorted out of the room, and they don't know exactly why that happened.
With the former Chinese leader Hu Jintao being led out of the closing ceremony in Beijing. As you can see here, Mr. Hu was sitting beside President Xi Jinping in the Great Hall of the People when he was approached by...
Look at how chill Winnie the Pooh is.
...officials who took him by the arm and led him away. It's not clear what was behind the move during what's usually a highly choreographed event. Our correspondent Steve McDonald has more from Beijing.
Incredible scenes there at the Great Hall of the People this morning, and it's left a lot of people scratching their heads wondering what's going on. I think to unpack this, it's probably best to take it chronologically. So the morning session initially was behind closed doors. Then the second part of the last day at the Congress, some journalists were allowed into the Great Hall of the People. Hu Jintao was sitting in the front row on stage, and then in front of the cameras, several officials came along and said to him, well, you could see the ushering, you should go.
You think maybe he's just kind of senile, Biden? Maybe he just shit his pants? And she's okay, get him out of here and give him some care.
He looks like he doesn't want to leave. But then he says something to Xi Jinping, who nods. He tapped his protege Li Keqiang on the shoulder and is helped off the stage. Now, there are only two possibilities, really. One is that this is sort of Chinese power politics on display with, Xi Jinping out with the old, in with him, that's something like that. And that was people's initial, feeling, the initial thought of what was going on. Really, though, I think what's much more likely is that it's something to do with his health. Because when you look at the footage a little bit earlier, when he's still sitting down, to his left on stage, other senior figures in the party, you can see they're turning to him. They look a bit worried about him. And then when he stands up, and the fact that he says something to Xi Jinping and nods, I think what's most likely is that he has some sort of a serious health problem, and that's why China's former leader wasn't able to sit through the final session there at the...
You think that's the case?
Probably so.
I think he did it as a display of power, so he can show that empty seat next to him. And it's look, this is the ex-prime minister. He's not there now. Any future prime minister or president, hey, You might resemble that empty chair. Don't oppose me.
Whoa.
Don't oppose me, Gene.
Here's something more positive.
Oh, wow. How do you Like, we don't. Well, you got food?
How intelligent do you think sheep are?
Intelligent enough to keep a conversation.
Yeah. Now, oh, look at his face. Did you see that? Okay, let's go back. Or her face. I don't want to assume it's gender. Look.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Really trying to pose.
Excuse me.
What do you want? When do you want it? How do you want it?
We were like looking up, like, what do you call like a group of like hippos, a group of fossa, stuff like that. Like, what's a group of sheep? Probably not just called a herd.
Eddie.
Bunch of cocks.
What about your mum?
Is it just a load of hippos?
Silence! One speak at a time! No, one!
I want a pet sheep.
It's not work, guys.
Do you think the city, if I had
Who you voting
backyard, do you
for?
think they'd allow me to have pet sheep?
Not John Key!
Nope.
Vote for me! Oh.
A flock, a herd,
Bob Parker!
or a fold.
Flock? Now we're using that for like a group of mammals and stuff. Oh, that's supposed to be for like fucking birds.
It's biblical, Gene.
Don't
they make that overly complicated. Zoologists need to like get their act together.
Hey!
Why does every animal need its own unique term for like what its like group is or herd is?
It's dumb.
Yeah.
What's a group of
like
people?
A murder of crows, a clan of hyenas.
What's a group of people called, Gene?
You suck.
Tribe.
Oh.
A society.
Are we a tribe?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, society.
Inappropriate.
Oh, better
no,
skip that
Gene.
shit. It's inappropriate, Gene.
Oh my God, Gene.
What? The Yemen civil war is still going on.
Yeah, I haven't been covering this since the dawn of this podcast.
Yeah, but things are escalating.
Aren't they always?
Yeah, but Saudi Arabia, like they're enclaved by Saudi Arabia, and they're not allowing any food to get in. It kind of shows how we support Saudi Arabia. How their population's starving.
Damn, dude.
They could use some more like meat on their bones.
Good thing everybody in this, everybody's here is worried about like clothing up the women to the point where you can only see this much, but you know.
That's the really important.
That's the important stuff, not all this other bullshit that we just saw. As long as that woman wasn't showing her head or any.
Here they have a mental health crisis, so it's like they lack the resources to give mentally ill the care they need. Food insecurity, indiscriminate attacks, and arbitrary detention.
You're an arbitrary.
Government-run psychiatric hospital only has space for 200 patients. Oh, so it's like the United States, same thing. We don't have the like mental institutions that actually like treat and house like the mentally ill, so they just wind up in prisons. Where else are going to put them?
دعم المنظمات صفر. نحن نتلقى ميزانية من الدولة.
Government funds that barely cover a quarter of the budget.
بالكاد تكفي 25%
You get some donations.
هناك بعض التبرعات
They're from philanthropists and not from any
التي
organization.
تأتي ليست من المنظمات ولكن من فاعلين خير.
Yemen had only 59 psychiatrists for its 30 million population in 2020. Nearly a fifth of all the residents have mental issues. Well, I think that's like pretty consistent in most countries. It's something like 1/5 of the population has some kind of like congenital psychiatric issue. ADD, like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. One challenge is that many, you call somebody from Yemen, Yemenis only seek medical advice when symptoms have become unmanageable. I mean, that's kind of the same in, once again, the U.S. and most countries. Patient went home after being released from prison. Taken home first, parents noticed that his psychological state had been affected because he stopped taking his medication, their financial situation, and the torture he was subjected to. And that also seems like something that's consistent with the U.S. is the torture in our prisons. More rape victims or male rape victims than female rape victims because of prison rape alone. And solitary confinement, the UN considers it to be a form of torture. So really seem to be much different. He's been receiving treatment since. Much better now. And God willing, he will be released soon.
God damn.
Since April, a UN brokered deal has brought a sharp reduction in hostility. I guess tensions between them and Saudi Arabia, proving to some extent. Attempts to extend it have failed. Okay, here's something more positive. Cats attacking each other.
I'm sorry. Zach in the chat said, why is Gene's audio so bad? Is it because he's poor?
Is my audio bad?
It sounds fine to me.
Okay.
It doesn't sound as good as Dirt's audio. You should have bought a blue...
one of the things I notice is when I'm using OBS on my streams, when I go back and look at those streams, like my audio seems to be a lot better than when you're the one handling OBS.
So, but how does Dirt's audio sound so good?
I don't know.
How does it sound better than yours? It must be that Dirt's just magical, like his head floating.
Schmackety-rackety.
It's my fault, Dirt!
You ruined it.
It's not like Gene's the outlier here.
Why are you sabotaging him?
It was an accident.
Do you think, like, if the cats really wanted to hurt them, they'd extend their claws?
Yeah, there's a warning smack. Oh, smacker, yeah.
Cats are pricks.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was you heard that one. Smack. You don't like that. Don't sing to him.
Oh my god.
Shut up. Ooh. Whoa.
Bitch slapping you, Gene.
Yeah.
Oh. Don't look at me. Ooh.
Man, what a prick. More respect to their owners.
Oh, don't smack the monkey.
They think they're the head of the household. Ooh, that's like a terror cow. That's not even a domestic cat. This does it to everyone that walks by.
What a little asshole.
Out of here. Trying to use its litter box.
They look like fucking aliens.
So cute.
Yeah.
I want one.
You know why they were bred to be hairless?
Because they're aliens.
To catch mice on ships, and it's because they wouldn't contract lice or spread lice on chips. Yeah. They don't respect their owners, their siblings. Well, this is okay. It's a mouse.
That's a whole ounce of catnip. Whoa.
The other cat is teaching him respect. Damn. What'd she do?
Dogs who are triggered.
So here's a recent
community
another
in mourning
school
after a
shooting.
school shooting at a South St. Louis high school.
God.
3 are dead tonight, including the shooter. We have just learned the teacher killed is a 61-year-old PE teacher from Dittmer. And St. Louis police are planning a press conference that will start momentarily. We will bring that to
Do
you.
you think school shootings happen more often than they should?
Live. Fox News' Chris Hayes is live at the school where it all unfolded to begin our team coverage tonight. Chris?
Mandy, police say the shooter pulled right up to a side door here at the Central Visual and Performing Arts High School and broke into a locked door to start his shooting rampage.
So what do you think his backstory is? So, like, is this a college? It's not a...
I
it's
saw
not like
some
preschool.
pretty young-looking kids running out of there, dude.
That whisper of, "Oh my God," was Uriah Taylor while recording more than a minute of gunfire.
I held onto my Jesus piece and I prayed because there was nothing else I could do.
It's audio from inside the third floor where police say the shooting began at about 9:10 a.m. Taylor.
Good thing she got the
barricaded in
Jesus
nearby room.
piece, G.
Chad.
If it wasn't for the Jesus piece, she'd be dead right now.
She just survived. You want to be engaged in that kind of like neckbeard atheism.
Shut up.
You'd be the kind of person where she's like,
I'm
talking
tired.
to her mother,
I'm
like,
tired
Jesus is
of
on my
the
side, and you're like,
bullshit.
Actually, you really believe in Jesus?
I don't care. I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm not.
I like the meme of like.
I'm tired of the religious bullshit. I'm so tired of it.
It's Reddit atheists when your 97-year-old grandmother says that she'll be with her husband soon, and it shows like this like cocky guy, his finger up.
Yeah, like.
Trubisky.
And I was looking for something to defend myself with, but the gunshots were coming too close.
Taylor reunited with her mother.
Chad with like the Sandy Hook victims when their 7-year-old kid just died, and they're like, "Oh God, like, well, I hope they're in heaven." He's like, "You believe in heaven?"
They're out front.
Now that it's hit home for me, for all of these
Chad's a prick.
shootings that I have seen on TV, it's unreal.
Chad thinks we should lock people up for life who murder like 300 people. And then he also thinks that we should mock like victims of shooting survivors for believing in
Unless
Jesus.
they say
Tornado
religious
automotive group
bullshit.
Skybox captured hundreds of other students leaving, looking for their parents.
As kids were fleeing out of the building,
So if like Louis Garavito, if he came
I think if she would have been like, "Oh my God, I looked for the nearest tomato so I could pray to the tomato gods." Like, I think everybody would be like, "This is so silly and stupid," but glad she survived. That's really stupid what she just said, though. It's the same thing, okay? It's like, I'm gonna find my magical X. Oh, there it is. There's my T or X or whatever this is. I'm praying to my imaginary person.
Chad doesn't even know his letters.
It's an XT.
No,
it's a
I
TX.
think it's like Louis Garavito.
It's kind of like a sideways
that
X.
He read The God Delusion, and he's a big atheist and stuff. I think he'd be like, you know what? I think they should acquit him and everything. I think yeah, he should be pardoned. You'd be like what? They found all the bodies, and it's confirmed that he actually killed 500 people. Well, at least an atheist, so just let him off the hook.
About time. About
we talked
time.
to some of the kids who told them that there was a shooter armed with a long gun.
Police say 3 died, including the shooter. 8 others went to
Where's
hospitals
Boyd? We need to get Boyd here because he always gets pissed off when we talk about like atheism or religion.
for related injuries. One student reportedly broke his ankle jumping from a 3rd-floor window. St. Louis Police Chief Michael Sack described how officers followed their ears.
Upon hearing gunfire, they ran to that gunfire.
Well, at least these officers actually addressed the shooter, unlike in was it Uvalde?
Located the shooter, engaged that shooter
Uvalde.
in exchange of gunfire. The suspect was struck and...
My fault that it's got some like.
Pepita in the chat said, "Oh my God." He said, "Oh my God, I get triggered when I hear Jesus. That's the reason I don't call myself an atheist." What does that even mean?
He hears the voice of Jesus. How could he call himself an atheist if he hears Jesus?
I only hear the voice of Jesus when I take a bunch of shrooms.
From this location, and that's
I think people who are afraid to call themselves an atheist need to fucking grow up and learn what words are and definitions for words. And if there's a word and you read the definition and that is exactly a like the definition of what you are, like that defines you, then that means that word is what you are. Sorry, mind blow.
I don't like these labels.
I don't like words, man, because there's a bunch of people that kind of don't like that word, so I'm gonna be away from that word. It's like, shut the fuck up, okay? You sound like a bitch, okay?
Man, chat's so aggressive. Bro, what was the other day when that one guy in the chat was asking questions? I think it was the Chucky stream. You started screaming at him.
What did he say?
Jab's getting really unhinged.
Dude, I get pissed, man! Fuck you!
Put a shock collar on Jab.
Whoa, who's this gay? Who's this maggot with an F?
Redbird.
He's here to replace me because it's past my bedtime. I got to work for 12 hours tomorrow. Happy Halloween. Thank you for having me. You know where to
Look
find
at
me.
you being a flake.
Have a wonderful... Yeah, Gene. Yeah, Gene. I got to wake up in 7 hours and then do a 12-hour shift. So
Yeah, Gene. Yeah, suck my penis, Gene.
No, I don't know. You can just eat it. Just,
Whoa.
fry it up to get... suck it. That'd be unsanitary.
Lots of protein.
The way, what was it, Jesse, mutilated his victims?
What?
You just covered it.
Oh, he's talking about... He's gone. You scared him away, Gene.
Okay. Use the razors and the pins.
Been pronounced deceased.
Dozens of St. Louis police vehicles surrounded the high school, along with the
Those cops look fat. They don't look like they're in good shape.
ATF and
Let's go back to it.
Suspect has since been pronounced deceased.
Everybody beat you up.
Yeah, doesn't he look kind of overweight?
Police vehicles surrounded the high school, along with the ATF and FBI. Investigators determined the shooter drove this blue Dodge sedan right up to where he entered. This side door that was locked. Police say that slowed the shooter, and that one of 7 working security staff noticed someone trying to get in and raised an early alarm.
Police, they got here, a float of police officers.
Mother and daughter thankful to be together. Taylor's camera phone still recording as she ran out.
Is that wine, on your chin?
That's period blood.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
He just got done eating at your mom.
Yeah. He's eating the bloody couche.
Here's a closer look at that door that was locked. You can see the bottom glass panel broken out. It's unclear if it was shot out or kicked out, but again, police say that door was locked, and that's how the shooter got into the building. It also shows how the shooter appeared to be familiar with the school because he was parked about where I'm standing off the sidewalk on Arsenal next to the school.
What do you think this relationship is with school? Do you think he went there when he was younger, or do you think...
he learned how to do magic at that school.
Now to new details on the deadly school shooting in St. Louis. Police have now identified both of the victims who lost their lives, a student and a teacher. And we're learning about the gunman's
only 2 people died.
arsenal and the note he left behind. Alex Perez in St. Louis with more. Good morning, Alex.
All the other stories that we've been covering, it's like there's been hundreds of deaths.
Hey, good morning.
So at least only 2 people died here.
Police believe the gunman intended to kill a lot more people. They say he had 7 magazines of ammunition on him and much more in a bag.
And he came prepared, and he still had a low kill count.
This morning, new details on that deadly high school shooting, the chilling moments seen.
Man, how much do you want to think, if I actually blow up in popularity on my channel, people are going to go back to, videos like this, 5 years later, and be like,
once you're as big as PewDiePie?
Still had a low kill count.
Here as terrified students ran for their lives. Authorities revealing this was the AR-15 style rifle the gunman used to carry out the attack, killing 10th grader Alexandria Bell and health teacher Jean Kushka.
He came into the building with more than 600 rounds of ammunition on his person.
Investigators say the 19-year-old gunman, Orlando Harris, who graduated from the school last year, left a disturbing handwritten note in his vehicle.
I've been an isolated loner my entire life. This was the perfect storm for a mass shooter.
Authorities say for security reasons.
Baby, it's he already graduated from the school. It's a year later.
People don't want to hang out with me. This is the perfect ingredients for me to be a dickhead and take other people's lives. Okay?
Doesn't he just take classes on hacking and like go down?
I even took the time to find people that are actually interested in hanging out with me, even though we're fucking in 2022 now, and I can go on the computer and find people that would hang out with me within minutes. But
you can come on chat streams and then be very antisocial and annoying, like people like Origin and Kino and Rawfaced and stuff.
Like, not even like as a joke or whatever, but literally this, like, my community as well as millions of other ones on the internet are open to people joining them, and then you can meet people and stuff. It's just like, nobody wants to hang out with me. Well, me... Okay, maybe not sit around with your finger up your ass masturbating all day complaining about nobody liking you. Maybe go try to find people. Like
you can join the Kill Watch subreddit where they talk about how society is sexist towards men and how like making fun of incels makes you a misandrist or a sandrist. They're speaking out against misandry and everything, how women have it easy. So you can join that community.
You're gay.
They won't reveal how the gunman got into the building, but do say it was not through one of the official school entry points. Kushka, who also coached cross country, was a mother of 5 and grandmother of 7, her daughter in disbelief.
My mom was my best friend. I think we're all still in shock. And I think it brings a peace of mind hearing all of these stories from her students and to know how much she was loved.
Belle loved dancing and was on the varsity dance team. Her father, heartbroken.
I'm trying to stay strong for my kids. No matter how mad
he cut the afro
or frustrated you were, she can always make that frown turn into a smile.
And authorities here that say they actually trained for a scenario just like this one about a month and a half ago. Counseling and mental health services are being made available to those who may need them. George?
Oh, that's such a horrific story. Okay.
We begin with that deadly school shooting in St. Louis, Missouri, where a gunman entered and fired shots inside Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. Law enforcement now confirming that the suspect was apprehended and is now dead. Authorities still investigating.
So is it like a charter school?
The shooter's connection to the school, and among the victims, a teenage girl and an adult woman. Joining us now for the latest, former NYPD chief of detectives and ABC News contributor Bob Boyce. So, Bob, police received this call for an active shooting around 9.
What do you think of his little U.S. flag rack with all the like pens or medals?
I think he's a cool American.
Yeah, he's a
proud.
real American.
He's a proud
10
American.
Local time. Officers arrived within a
Proud to
couple
be
of minutes.
American.
What do you think about the response? I mean, this was quite a difference for what we saw in Uvalde.
It is a very dramatic difference, and we see that everything worked here, yet we still had tragedy. He was able to get into
those, are his trophies for all his victims.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist: he's a serial killer.
the building, even though they knew he was trying. So that has to be determined how this shooter got in. But they responded quickly, and the end of the threat, yet 2 people still died. What's key here, I see, Kira, is that they were able to close all the doors. They were in lockdown. The principal did a great job, the staff. They saw it coming and were able to get it done. So they probably saved a lot of lives. He had a long arm, so we don't know what kind of rifle he had yet.
There was a local reporter there on the ground that did get some sound. Authorities say they're still investigating the background of this shooter, why he might have done this. If indeed, we still don't know if he went to this school, if he was going after this woman and this teenage girl specifically. Let's take a listen to what some of these students that were able to survive the shooting.
They're not even showing the shooter yet.
I won't cancel it because I seen my friend have all blood on her hand, and it was like she seen the shooter, and the shooter came to her and said, "You ready to die?" And to see her just screaming and crying, and it was just hurt me, and we all were just real scared. I'm not going back to school. I think as of right now, I'm not going back to school. I can't do it. I'm traumatized. I'm gonna just go home.
I like this hat.
Fix myself because it's too much. It's too much for a teenager to be going through.
Yeah, and we're seeing far too many of these school shootings even this year, Bob. So the first student said that her friend came face to face with this shooter, and he said to her, "Are you ready to die?" But he didn't shoot her. What does this tell you? Do you think he was going after his victim specifically, or she just got lucky?
I think she really got lucky here. We'll never know because he's gone. What was in his head that time? Why he let her live? And it's important to understand. Perhaps she played.
There was a lot of trauma involved in this, and people were very scared. What do you think about this? What do you think? I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of. I don't know. It's just kind of funny the whole news.
I think we've covered that enough.
Another tragedy happened, and we're here to monetize it.
Across the country that are already overwhelmed with pediatric cases of respiratory illnesses, and that's before an expected surge in flu and COVID cases. Eva Pilgrim is at a children's hospital here.
It's really weird because there's this thing with YouTubers where if Keemstar, he would get in trouble with his fans if he say reported on a death on his channel or something like that, like this, and then he monetized it. A bunch of people would throw a fit. And so he when he did report on stuff like this, he would go out of his way to say, and I didn't monetize this video and stuff like that. And it's like, what gives ABC the right? Fox News? What gives these people the right to monetize death? But it's like, if you're a YouTuber, it all of a sudden makes a big difference.
Like,
it's like, no.
The Jeffrey Dahmer series. What about like documentaries?
Yeah, it's silly. People have
like,
such stupid ass ways of thinking of shit, and it's just like, it's monetizing on death is only okay when it's Fox News, CNN, CBCBD, whatever, whatever mainstream. Yeah, it's silly.
It's the same thing with like South Park and SNL. It's like you'll make a joke that's tame compared to like the average joke on SNL or South Park, and people will be like, "Good, you don't joke about that stuff." But then they're like, "Oh, wasn't the latest South Park?
I love South Park.
The disability camp," and it's
I love it.
Yeah, they're just like too stupid to see, like the way their brain works because it's on TV.
I love crude humor when South Park does it, but
yeah,
you better not do it.
But if some random person does it, I'm gonna tell and get triggered and act like they committed some serious foul.
Yeah.
High volume this morning, and we are seeing that from coast to coast. The number of children in the hospital in the U.S. is the highest it's been in 2 years. This morning, children's hospitals filling up across the country as cases of respiratory viruses spike, some now running.
I think it's because people are probably acting like COVID's completely over, and now that the quarantine, like a lot of the restrictions have been lifted, kids are getting out more again. Now we're seeing a surge in kids getting, or young kids.
Almost every hour of a 24-hour period, we're completely full and we cannot accept any other patient.
Nationally, hospital beds for children are around 75% capacity, but that number even higher in some parts of the country. In these 9 states and Washington, D.C., it's more than 80%. In Texas, Tennessee, Delaware, Maine, and Rhode Island, pediatric hospital beds are at more than 90% capacity. At those hospitals with beds, many.
The thing is, when young children, like under the age of 7, get really bad infections, like scarlet fever or like strep throat, like other things, like a lot of times it does get severe enough where it's linked with them developing certain psychiatric disorders or developmental disorders. So there is like a connection between like kids developing like OCD or kids developing like ADD or whatever because they gone through some kind of like serious infection.
Seeing hours-long waits.
These are like the child mortality rate used to be so high to the point where it brought the life expectancy down to like 30. So a large percentage of kids would have died if they had fevers and had these serious infections. So a lot of the ones that survived due to modern medicine, they will develop certain psychiatric disorders. And it's something like 1 in 7 childbirths used to be like a miscarriage. And we know that like over 90-something% of kids that have complicated births develop some kind of psychiatric disorder. And then it's something like 1 in 5 of the population has some kind of psychiatric disorder. So when people are like, oh, why do so many people have these conditions nowadays? Well, there's your explanation.
But we sort of haven't had a break.
I'm skeptical about that. That's like, oh yeah, he tortured 7 people because he had chicken pox when he was little.
Well, no, we're not talking about psychopathy. We're talking about like learning disabilities and ADD and OCD. It's not connected with that.
From COVID to RSV to influenza, and who knows what's next. In Green Bay, Wisconsin, 5-month-old Bentley Phillips is hospitalized with RSV. It was all in a matter of a 24-hour period that we had noticed one thing after another. His mother saying she is grateful for the care her baby boy is able to receive, but warning how quickly everything changed. It started with the wheezing. He progressed so fast. His oxygen was so low that we don't know what would have happened if we were home any longer than we were. The flood of patients now forcing some hospitals to pause elective surgeries, others even having to turn kids away. Pharmacies feeling the strain too. Walgreens saying its pharmacy now filling weekly prescriptions of antivirals at a rate 10 times higher than this time last year. That number doubling over the last 2 weeks. Now, officials warning that we could see a triple-demic, RSV, COVID, and the flu, further straining hospitals as we hit the winter peak.
We're seeing the rise of 3 respiratory viruses.
And another thing, like this was discussed at the beginning of COVID, a lot of people will die because they don't get the help that they need.
All of them going out around the same time, that's concerning. The good news is for 2 of the 3, we have vaccines that are highly effective at preventing serious illness, COVID and flu. And doctors are telling us if your child shows any symptoms of having trouble breathing, you need to bring them to the hospital right away. These hospitals are very busy. Robin?
They are. And Eva, what is the latest that we're hearing on at Virginia High School where more than half of the students called out sick?
Yeah, Robin,
Nearly
nearly
they're bringing out the shooting again.
Students called out sick at Stratford High School in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Many of them reporting flu and gastrointestinal symptoms. The school was forced to close down to do a thorough cleaning. It has since reopened, but many of those students, hundreds of those students, are still out. The school now telling us that many of those students have.
Now, what do you think of people where it's like they act like you should have perfect attendance in school, and you see a lot of like companies that are like this as well, like employers where it's like if people are sick and they have the flu, the fever, they should still just pull themselves up by the bootstraps and. They, like being sick is no excuse for calling out sick.
I like those people, Gene. Those are the type of people that get shit done, Gene. Unlike you Democrat.
Yeah, you got to soldier through and show up at work, and then get everyone else sick and everything, because that's good for productivity.
For influenza A, they are still investigating exactly what happened.
I
Robin?
hope they all feel better very soon. Eva, as always, thank you. Joining us now is Dr. John Brownstein. He's an infectious disease epidemiologist at Boston Children's.
Okay, anyway, next vid.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. A guilty plea from 16-year-old Ethan Crumbley, who confessed to killing 4 students at his school, and he says he knew exactly what he was doing. Then he dropped a bombshell. He said...
I don't even remember this guy.
Me neither.
Yeah.
He gave his father the money to buy the gun. Here's Amber.
There's so many killers, we can't even differentiate them all.
Wait, no.
A jaw-dropping revelation from the
This
team.
is the kid I think that his parents got the gun for him. They just said he gave his father the money to buy the gun. Remember the 2 parents that ran away? Is this them?
Well, it doesn't look like him.
Who killed 4 high school students.
He probably grew his hair out. Yeah.
It looks like he's lost some weight.
Ethan Crumbley testified in court that he gave his father the money to buy the handgun he used in the massacre at Oxford High School last November, just outside Detroit.
Is it true that you asked him to buy the firearm? Yes. Is it true that you gave him your money to buy the firearm? Yes.
The spectators in the courtroom, packed with grieving family members, were left stunned as Crumbley entered his guilty plea.
Is it your own choice to plead guilty? Yes, sir.
Under questioning by the prosecutor, Crumbley pulled down his face mask and admitted everything.
Is it true that while inside the boys' bathroom, in the stall of the bathroom, you removed the handgun from your backpack? Yes. Is it true that you ensured that the handgun...
How many years do you think he should get in prison?
I think someone who does
400 years.
I think someone who kills 4 people like that shouldn't be allowed out ever again. I think that's probably how it should be.
I think with most crimes, people should probably at most get 10 years. I think that with murder, if you commit 1 homicide, maybe depending on how it happened, you got into a fight and you attacked somebody and they died, maybe 25 years. But I think if you kill more than just 1 person, I don't think you should ever get out.
Yeah, exactly. 1 person, I can get with that. Maybe they should be let out back again at some point. But he went to his school and killed four kids. Yeah, probably should never be let out again.
And I think it depends on the kind of murder. If it's hey, you're in an abusive relationship and you snap, you murder your husband, maybe that's one where they should only get 20, 25 years. I think if it's something you just kill somebody for the hell of it.
That's probably a good example that they should get lesser of a sentence than the average murderer if they actually have some good reasoning for it like that. Go to your school and kill 4 kids that you just don't like at school or something like that. That's totally different. I don't know what the story is exactly.
Yes. Is it true that when you exited the bathroom, you began shooting at students and staff members of the Oxford High School? Yes.
Crumbley's parents are also facing trial, charged with manslaughter. But their son appeared to do serious damage to their claim that the handgun that he used in the massacre was stored in a secure location.
When you obtained the firearm, it was not kept
well, I recognize the name, Ethan Crumbley.
Yeah, once you see the pictures, you
Crumbley's attorney said he originally planned to plead not guilty by reason of insanity.
Why did he want to plead guilty? Well, he's taking accountability for his actions.
The prosecutor says the guilty plea now spares the families of a trial.
We are not aware of any other case anywhere in the country where a mass shooter has been convicted of terrorism on state charges.
Crumbley's due back in court February 9th.
If you're going to convict him of terrorism, then what about the one kid that shot up, or he wasn't, I think it was 19, and he shot up the black church?
Mm-hmm.
I think he killed 11 people. It's that should be considered terrorism.
But we begin with the guilty plea from the 16-year-old suspect accused of gunning down 4 students and injuring several others at a high school in Michigan last November. Trevor Ault is in Pontiac, Michigan for us. Joins me live now from outside the courthouse where all of this happened today. Trevor, it was dramatic at times as the prosecutor was doing voir dire of this 16-year-old, asking him if it's true. Did you do all this? He said yes. It's all 24 counts. Tell us what else went down in court today.
Sure. So Ethan Crumbley is this now 16-year-old. He was 15 when he now admits he committed this mass shooting at Oxford High School, killing 4 of his fellow students and injuring 7 others. And today in court, essentially the prosecutors methodically...
Do you think it's kind of the one killer, Lane, where she kept swapping back and forth between admitting it and playing to self-defense? I think maybe he'll switch back to...
Doesn't seem like this kid's on that level of crazy.
Yeah. Separate counts, including terrorism causing death, including 4 counts of first-degree murder, making sure that Ethan Crumbley, this teenager...
she killed 7 people,
He's crazy enough to, in the moment, do that,
but
it looks like he's just giving up and
to kill these students.
Saying the truth now at this point. He's not even interested in trying to lie his way through.
they didn't use their like magnetic physics rays to alter his brain.
Yeah, that's what they did in his hair grew.
He killed. And so now Ethan Crumbley is facing the possibility of life in prison. In fact, it's very likely that could be the case, although the fact that he's a teenager and the minor means parole is potentially on the table. His sentencing is set for next year. But what we also watched happen today, Phil, and it was a relatively short hearing, we did see what appeared to be the
How much you want to bet
he
gets parole and gets out when he fucking is like 50 or 60 or something?
Yeah,
that's what I hate about seeing these murders that are kids when they do it, is because a lot of them, they end up just getting back out. And sure, they're older when they do get out, but they're old enough. They're still young enough to do all sorts of crazy crap. That's for sure. 50-year-old man still.
Involuntary manslaughter, and the prosecution asked Ethan Crumbley today.
Don't think they'll just break their hip in the process.
Maybe if he was 80 when he got out, but not if he's 50 or 60.
About the weapon that was used.
I don't know. I think a lot of 60-year-olds, it's like they just turn too quickly. It might like break their bones or whatever.
They asked him to confirm that his parents had bought that weapon, and they asked him to confirm that it was unlocked when he took it that morning, brought it to school, and then committed this killing. And that
they all look very oily or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, prison affects your hygiene. Look at how unhinged she looks. It's like, yeah, prison really does.
Him to confirm that his parents
really does change people.
Had bought that weapon, and they asked him to confirm that it was unlocked when he took it that morning, brought it to school, and then committed this killing. And that access to the weapon is one of many angles which the prosecution is using to try to form their argument as to why these parents were criminally negligent leading up to the shooting and also need to be held responsible. And so we are actually expecting to hear from the prosecutor's office in just about a half hour, so we will definitely be asking them about that.
And we could also hear from the teenage shooter in his parents' trial. This is all. Trevor, talk about what happens next. I mean, we know the sentencing, as you just mentioned, comes next year, but this case is.
Imagine being like a pampered suburbanite, where you've been like living your life as kind of like a Karen and stuff, getting mad at customer service people because they like don't have the item in stock that you need, and then just abruptly, like in your like 40s or 50s, it's like you're being charged for like murder, and because your kid does something, and you're going to be spending the rest of your life in fucking prison. Like, I don't know, karma's kind of a bitch, but I wonder like what's going through their head and how they're processing it.
Is it really a first of its kind that we know of, right?
Absolutely. So this is the first that we know in a school shooting where the parents are facing charges, and you make a great point, which is the fact that Ethan Crumbley, while he's pleaded guilty here, now he won't have his own trial. He waived his right to it today. We could still see him on the stand because the attorneys for his parents have said they would call him to testify, and presumably it would not be, it would be to help their case, not necessarily to support them together as a family. I mean, the prosecutors have released some really serious charges here that the parents ignored a lot of red flags, that they were oblivious, that Ethan Crumbley was telling his mother he was seeing ghosts and demons in the house, that he was obsessed with firearms, that he was searching school shootings on his phone so often he was getting spammed.
Yeah, your kid's showing signs of psychosis, and he, like, wasn't it like he was writing in a journal and drawing images of him murdering people, and then they bought him a gun.
For mental health, that he was filming himself at home torturing animals, that the parents were spending thousands of dollars on alcohol, that they weren't getting the mental health treatment that he needed. Now the parents say they were unaware of all of these red flags, that they did what they could, and that they should not be held criminally responsible here. Their trial.
They weren't aware of it? Then like the counselor called them into school and showed them like stuff that he was writing down, and the illustrations he was like sketching of like him murdering people, and they still like ignored it and like bought him a gun regardless.
Is set to begin in January. They're being charged together. And hanging over all of it, Phil, is the fact that prosecutors also allege that the parents tried to flee. That the day of the shooting, that they bought several cell phones, they withdrew thousands of dollars. They spent the night as they were facing charges in an artist warehouse too. So this is going to be a very
yeah, remember that?
What?
They said like they tried to flee, and they were in some like hotel or whatever, and somebody reported them. And I remember they claimed that, like, oh, well, they were going to turn themselves in.
Very highly watched trial, even though the fact that we've got guilty pleas from the actual school shooter in the school shooting, this is truly unprecedented, and this is not the last of this case, Phil.
Yeah, it's such a heartbreaking mess, and it ended up with so many lives shattered. Trevor Hall from Pontiac, Michigan, thank you so much.
Okay, next vid.
Hello, my boy. How are you?
The relationship and the love that you get from being with a squirrel, I can't even explain it.
He loves you. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
So they make love to their squirrel.
I was looking out my kitchen window and I saw this baby squirrel going out there, and he just flinched.
What's your matter, sweetheart?
I walked the property for 45 minutes with my mom and his siblings, and I didn't find anything. I picked him up, and
I want a squirrel as a pet.
realized his eyes were still closed, but he melted in the warmth of my hands.
I mean, you should just buy a big plot of land and just have all these enclosures built and get every single like exotic pet that there is. Cheetahs, red pandas, like pigs, squirrels.
So I basically raised him wild.
He jumps when he wants me to continue.
I had every intention on letting him go free. Everything that he ate, I learned from the other squirrels that it was okay for him.
Everything he ate, I learned from the other squirrels? What does that mean?
She was probably engaging in squirrel watching.
Like, I don't know. That sounds.
Well,
I don't know.
I have like squirrel feeders in my backyard. I got a bird feeder.
Yeah, but you probably didn't stalk the nearby squirrels to figure out what to feed them. Hold on.
Yeah, you look it up on the internet. Ooh,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like, why didn't you just look this up on the internet and go to the store and buy what's necessary to feed a squirrel? I don't know. I was stalking all the other squirrels and I figured out his diet. Okay, go on. Go on, woman.
My Discord's acting up.
Yeah, we'll delete it.
Still hear you.
Delete it.
Whatever.
Delete it.
And then he returned. He was shaking uncontrollably. I was holding him and he was growling. I tried 3 more times to let him go and he wouldn't leave.
I know that you are happy here.
Unfortunately,
see, I've gotten to the point where the squirrels in my backyard, like if I hauled a treat out, they'll walk up like tentatively and then they'll grab it and run off. So I'm hoping I'll get to the point where I can actually abduct it and like keep it in a hamster cage and everything.
when he was 3 years old, he injured his thumb. I don't know where or how, but he did it in his room.
What you need to do is get to a point where you have yourself a little squirrel army, and then you can go to Ukraine and help out.
Oh, yeah. So like Squirrel Girl from like the Marvel comics.
Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, she like she beat like the Hulk and Captain America and Thor in a fight. More powerful than them.
Are you my sweet boy? Yes. Yeah, you are.
Did I? Watch it disappear. Oh, it was so strange because the two of us basically healed each other. Come on. You didn't disappear.
Did I tell you the crow story before?
There was this bond that we got just from being there with each other when we didn't feel good.
It's very good to see you again, Mr. Wiggins.
By being an artist and a builder, I said, all right, if you can't be in
Do you think squirrels they're good for the soul? Good for healing your
Yeah, I bet a pet squirrel would be a great pet.
the trees, I'm going to make him a tree. I built him a tree house.
Do you think squirrels are better for the soul than Jesus?
Interlocks his favorite kinds of wood to get the biggest room in the house. 8 sliding glass windows, cathedral ceilings. He can run around the entire room without touching the floor safely because he's on all
Did you see him licking the windows?
those little ramps. I put that mesh fencing because I opened the sliding doors so he could get the fresh air and hear the birds. And sometimes squirrels climb up and down the window and he climbs up and down with them. Every single piece of furniture in there is his. You shoot it all. I don't care about any of it. Where I come from, squirrels don't have a good life at all.
Oh my goodness, he's so upset.
I don't know, his teeth look kind of brown.
I was always told that they were just tree rats and no good and they run in the middle of the road on purpose.
Did I get into the tube?
Well, they look cuter than rats, so that makes them more deserving of not being killed.
One of the two. After being with Bunk and his personality and how smart he is, I mean, he creates games that he and I play. Okay? That works. He wants food, he signs to me.
It's kind of weird, but I do love you. What am I going to get you for your birthday?
He loves to snuggle, literally almost like a baby.
Do you like squirrel
and it hits the saliva glands, so he starts to drool. He makes me calm, which is amazing.
He makes
I'm never calm.
wait. He makes me come. Is that what she just said? The squirrel makes her come, and she never comes. She never comes, but the squirrel makes her come, guys. Okay.
What? You said you wanted to grope somebody? What?
Dude, the squirrel makes her come, Gene. Shut up. Penis face.
Yeah, they didn't have enough rope for the project. What? They were going to grope somebody, huh? Shut up.
He really knows how to communicate with me. I know exactly what he needs, just by the way he acts. Just I'm a nature kind of person, very different from anyone in my family.
Oh, good.
But I never imagined squirrels had as much personality
He
as
looks
they
a
do.
little chubby.
People say to me, you know what, because of you and Bunk, we now put our brakes on when we see a squirrel. And I say, all right, well, at least we're getting somewhere.
Boop, boop. Happy birthday, handsome. Yeah, mommy got you some flowers.
People say, why do you spend so much time with
See
Bunk?
the little birthday watermelon she made for him? He missed it, Shab.
So the day that I picked him up off the lawn is the day that I was committed to him. He has nobody else.
You should just find a specimen, don't you?
We know what each other's thinking, we're very well connected. I would have never imagined. He makes me a better person. What's the point, Bunk? To love a squirrel is one thing. To be loved by a squirrel is,
Do you think he's house trained?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Not going anywhere. You are just...
Ooh, now, this video will really make you cringe and very unnerving. Maybe we should watch it at
Oh, those are ducks?
yeah, 1.25 speed.
Uh-huh.
It's like Frogger, but with ducks.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
The problem that those ducks are causing. Oh my god.
Well, they actually, all of them made it.
It
Well,
looks
that's the
like
astonishing thing.
and it looks like there was no car crash too, which is astonishing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, people like ducks. Or people like animals more than they like people. So let's get some killing in the Ukraine.
If I was driving, I just would have ran him over.
Okay, so now like in Russia, where like people are leaving in droves and everything, and are trying to flee the country. Now, one of the things that's happening is a lot of their soldiers are actually just surrendering to the Ukraine. So this is happening
Operation
to a
of the
decent
hotline
extent.
of the I Want to Leave project.
Stop! Put machine gun on the ground. Guys, everything is fine as agreed. As agreed, all is well.
Stop! Halt! Put your machine gun
The
down.
goal of the I Want to Leave project is to save the lives of those Russian servicemen who do not want to fight against Ukraine, want to survive and do not support the Kremlin leadership. Hotline operators also receive...
So that's how you get around the draft. You, you don't try to leave the country. You just follow through and go through with your deployment. And then once you're deployed, you just surrender immediately to the Ukrainians. And then they give you asylum, so seems like the more pragmatic approach.
calls from men who are afraid of being drafted.
Families and relatives of Russian servicemen, as well as those who have not yet been mobilized, are contacting our hotlines and messengers, saying that they will receive a summons one day. What should we do? We don't want to fight. We want to survive. We are hostages of the situation. We cannot escape from Russia. They panicked. There were tears among the men. I could feel it. There were also calls from servicemen who are already in Ukraine.
According to Vitaly Matvienko, the number of calls increases each time Ukraine launches a counteroffensive in one of the sectors of the...
What do you think, Crow? Do you think if they surrender, they should be given asylum?
Yeah, I guess. Prisoner of war or whatever, and...
Ooh, that... I mean, that's a way to, like, lessen the numbers of, the opposing country. Just, like, offer asylum to any of the soldiers that are willing to, surrender.
Oh, that's pretty much what it's sounding like.
Most often, Russians are surrendering now in the Kherson direction. They do not withstand the offensive of the armed
So
forces.
they should just do with, like, NATO overall. Like, all the NATO countries should just be like, hey, like, we'll give you asylum if you're, like, in Russia, and or you're working for the Russian military, you want to surrender.
Ukraine.
Yesterday, when they started shooting at us, I almost fell out of my mind. This is the Kherson region. It's really deplorable here. Honey, I don't know when I'll get back home. I want to get home at least unscathed. Interception of a phone conversation.
Russia blocked the website of the I Want to Leave project, but nevertheless could not stop the spread of information.
Do you think that guy looks like a higher up? Do you think he's in good shape?
He's part of the Illuminati.
Yeah. Think he's in good condition to, fight in the trenches and everything?
Not stop the spread of information about it. Calls to the hotline continue to come from the territory of the Russian Federation, the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, and from areas where hostilities are taking place right now.
Russia blocked it, and this once again confirms that the project is working. This suggests that information has already spread on the territory of Russia, and is being made public if the Russian occupation authorities are afraid of it.
Talks weird.
In order to voluntarily surrender and stay alive, the Russians need to call the
Americans funny.
project's hotline and declare their desire. Further, they will keep in touch with the servicemen, check the information, and establish the location, after the organization of the exchange itself in accordance with all security measures.
The basic rules are clear. Yes, this is a white flag. This is a weapon that has been thrown away. These are open hands. This is in general that simple set of gestures and symbols that shows the absence of aggressive intentions. Indeed, Ukraine is a democratic, legal European state. We comply with the Geneva Conventions.
Together.
Seems like it's a more passive approach to lessering their soldier count.
Lessening, Gene. Learn the proper words. God.
Didn't I say it's in a positive? So I said to lessen.
His request. Our country's made clear that we all reject Russia's transparently false allegations that
You're
Ukraine is preparing to use a dirty...
I don't think that's an improper use of the word.
You said lessening. Or lessering. Or whatever. Just shut up
lessening. And go. I said to lessen, their soldier count.
You're wrong, Gene, and I'm right, like always.
So if you say, to lessen the symptoms, do they say to lessening the symptoms, according to Shab?
Decrease, maybe?
Putin laying the groundwork for a false flag attack that allows for nuclear escalation because his conventional forces are losing. And tonight, we found more new video.
I think the audio here is pretty bad.
Gene's a dumb guy, guys. What?
Each of these we bought ourselves. All our gear we purchased ourselves.
We bought this ourselves at the mall.
One guy bought a flak jacket for 60,000 rubles. By the same evening, the price had already gone up to 80,000 rubles. Now that same flak jacket costs 100 to 150,000 rubles. We know how this works.
As the ruble, still, it's 10 times less the value of a penny.
Every time we go to another store, the price keeps going up 2 times what it was before. I'll just add a comment about the weapons, which were all rusty and jammed. Such weapons are not fit for battle. We hadn't been fed for 2 days. There wasn't even any water.
Again, they all want to be seen.
Do you think those soldiers need to be charged for like trying to slander their government?
They need to be charged.
They need to be charged for acts of sedition.
They want you to know they all agree that they cover their face, so you can't fully
They're
identify who they
heretics.
are when it comes to Russian leadership. And Putin is seen to threaten to escalate this war in other ways as well. It's not
Chad, you're making a bunch of noise.
I want you to know about 2 more Russians who were arrested for photographing military facilities in Norway, which is
Damn it, Chad.
a NATO country. This is according to Norwegian TV2. In recent weeks, several Russian nationals with drones have been arrested and detained in Norway, including the son of this Putin ally who was arrested for flying a drone in a sensitive area. And Norway carries immense strategic value in this war. Norway is now Europe's top gas supplier after Russia cut supplies. Fred Pleiken is live in Dnipro, Ukraine tonight. And Fred, what is the latest on the ground where you are tonight?
Hi there, and we're near the southern frontier in this war that's going on. And certainly what the Ukrainians are saying there, that the battle for Kherson...
Here, we got the point. Russian soldiers speaking out, surrendering bulk.
Just mute him? What, Peter, you want me to mute Gene? I can mute him.
Here, now the soldiers are staging a mutiny. Now even the deployed personnel aren't cooperating.
They'll all be
Give us
dead.
an imported guitar. Are we going to shoot a guitar on the battlefield? There are no people. Whom will you roll? Give our family's children a Yankee ram, sheep, and some groceries. You no longer look like a source of power in our eyes. And they're calling Putin out. Perhaps we people should all get together and decide you are of no use. Do you think they all need to be arrested? They need to go to some gulags?
No, they're all gonna disappear mysteriously within a month. Them and their families.
Is that a dragon?
It's a puma. Cougar. Wait, now that puma could easily kill that cheetah. Cheetahs are pretty weak.
Yeah.
They can't really knock people off their feet, and the bite force is less than a German Shepherd's. Pumas they can jump 12 feet in the air with a deer carcass in their mouth. So yeah, if that thing attacks you, you're dead. Friends. Did you ever hear that story about there's a guy that had a Bengal tiger in his New York apartment, and then somebody called because they heard noises, and then when they were questioning his roommate, he's like, "What? It's New York. Everyone stays to themselves." He claimed that he didn't even know that his roommate had a tiger. I don't know. Do you think a cheetah would be a good apartment pet, or a New York apartment pet?
When it comes to all these big cats, it seems like cheetah's the best choice for a cat around that size. They don't seem like they're that much of a danger compared to a dog and stuff, and then they seem like they're more docile. Probably they're not. I don't know. Just watching this video, you can see that the cheetah seems to bow to the other cat in a way, it just lets it be the dominant one, and it doesn't care. Like when it was sharing the plate with it, it let the puma eat. The
puma is a lot stronger and everything. It is more of a
It just seems a lot more, I guess, complacent. Maybe is the right word or whatever than maybe a puma would be, or something else that is more dangerous.
Oh, pumas are stronger than people, and people are stronger than cheetahs.
Prove it.
Prove it.
It's just their face is just so. I don't know. Such a big nose and face.
In Africa and stuff, where they have safaris for tourists, cheetahs will jump on the buses and everything, and they'll do like bunting, like with cats, where they like rub against your arm and stuff, and they actually want people to feed them, pet them. Ooh, they got an entire series.
Yeah, I don't like people like that because, like, no matter what animal it is, like, oh, I'm a bear expert. I lived out in the forest with the bears for 5 years. Yeah. A couple days later, they get eaten by fucking bears. Or like, oh, yeah, I have a pet tiger that I don't, chain up. Yeah, a couple years later, fucking eaten.
So you don't think polar bear would make a good pet?
Oh, fuck no. You're dead if it's a fucking polar bear.
Mr. Cats, a male kestrel with a near impossible task.
I don't know, they seem pretty playful.
They disappeared yesterday, and if their chicks are going to survive, you'll have to defy the textbooks. Female kestrels are primary caregivers for the chicks. Keeping them
So
warm.
he's like Mr. Mom.
And with her gone, the male just doesn't know how to fill this role. Mrs. Cares vanished last night. And when she hadn't returned 10 hours later, I intervened, taking her 6 chicks out for a health check. 3 were small.
Damn. So, mom's like a negligent parent. So, looks like dad needs to take on the responsibilities.
I needed to be cared for. But I put the 3 stronger chicks back in the nest in a bid to keep them wild.
Copyright detected. Xvid.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for sharing your time with me.
So here, Schwarzenegger's gonna virtue signal. It's like, I don't know. It seems like the Ukraine war is pretty significant, but it seems like there's a million and one things that you could come out with, like at any time, and be like,
Gene, this is what they should have done during like World War II. They should have made videos like, Hitler, stop it, just stop it, Hitler.
They kind of did.
Yeah, like Charlie Chaplin going on the radio, like, I may have a mustache like you, Hitler, but...
What? I didn't...
Have you ever seen The Great Dictator, Shad?
No.
That was like the first Charlie Chaplin film where spoke and everything. I think there was one before it where like it was a joke and he spoke gibberish, but that was the first like feature-length film where he spoke throughout the film. It was like a parody on Hitler, and at the time they didn't know that Hitler was behind all those atrocities, so it was a movie like making fun of him. But yeah, well here, like Schwarzenegger, when he was governor of California, he pardoned somebody's son who committed murder because the guy worked for like the state Congress and he was friends with him. So I don't know, Schwarzenegger's I think kind of distasteful in that realm. But hey, he's virtue signaling by speaking out against the war.
I'm sending this message to various different channels to reach.
When he tells Putin, yeah, Putin's going to listen to Schwarzenegger.
Russian friends.
Schwarzenegger's that important.
In Ukraine. I'm speaking to you today because there are things that are going on in the world that have been kept from you. Terrible things that you should know about. But before I talk about the harsh realities, let me just tell you about the Russian who became my hero. In 1961, when I was 14 years old, a very good friend of mine invited me to come to Vienna to watch the World Weightlifting Championships. I was in the audience when Yuri Petrovich Vlasov won the World Championship title, becoming the first human being to lift 200 kilograms over his head. Somehow a friend of mine got me backstage.
I don't think Schwarzenegger was ever able to do that.
All of a sudden, there I was, a 14-year-old boy standing in front of the strongest man in the world. I couldn't believe it. He reached out to shake my hand. I mean, I still had a boy's hand. He had this powerful man's hand that swallowed mine, but he was kind, and he smiled at me. I would never forget that day. Never. I went home and put his photo above my bed to inspire me when I started lifting weights. My father told me to take down
he looks kind of like a dork.
The picture and to find a German and Austrian hero. He got really angry, and we argued back and forth. He didn't like Russians because of his experience in the Second World War. You see, he was injured at Leningrad, but the Nazi army that he was part of did vicious harm to the great city and to its brave people. But I did not take the photograph down, no, because it didn't matter to me what flag Yuri Vlasov carried. My connections to Russia didn't stop there, by the way. Oh, it actually deepened when I traveled here with bodybuilding and for my movies and met all my Russian fans. And in one of those trips, I remember, I met Yuri Vlasov once again. It was in Moscow during the filming of Red Heat, which was the first American movie allowed to film in Red Square. Now, he and I spent the whole day together. He was so thoughtful, so kind, and so smart, and, of course, very giving. He gave me this beautiful blue coffee cup, and...
So what he's getting at is Russia's not all bad. A lot of good.
Or he just has a man crush.
Yeah.
Ever since then, I've been drinking my coffee out of every morning. But the reason why I'm telling you all of these things is that ever since I was 14 years old, I've had nothing but affections and respect for the people of Russia. The strength and the heart of the Russian people have always inspired me. And that is why I hope that you will let me tell you the truth about the war in Ukraine and what is happening there. No one likes to hear something critical of the government. I understand that. But as a longtime friend of the Russian people, I hope that you will hear what...
Like, he's trying to, like, act like I don't know. Do you think he's being kind of, like, myopic to some extent
What's
here.
kind of
where...
funny is in his own office, him having a picture of him flexing.
Oh God, he's such a narcissist.
That's kind of funny.
But it seems like he's acting like, hey, like, he's so fucking important that, like, he's, like, the fact that Schwarzenegger's a friend with the Russian people, that's going to influence Putin to, like, withdraw from the war.
I have to say. And may I remind you that I speak with the same heartfelt concern as I spoke to the American people when there was an attempted insurrection on January 6th last year, when a wild crowd was storming the U.S. Capitol, trying to overthrow our government. You see, there are moments like this that are so...
Yeah, Schwarzenegger spoke to the people, and that's why, like, the issue was resolved.
Wrong.
Wait,
and then we have to speak up. This is exactly the...
So if I sleep with my housekeeper, can I make a video like this too?
What?
A while ago, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, he cheated on his wife, and what's weird is like the one kid that he had with his like housekeeper, like it looks exactly like him. Looks like a little mini Schwarzenegger.
Who does?
The same with your government. I know that...
Like he's got like multiple kids, and like with his one wife, which I think he's divorced. Like he has like 3 or 4 kids, but what's weird is like the kid he had with his housekeeper has the closest like physical resemblance to him, and it just looks like a little mini Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Your government has told you that this is a war to denazify Ukraine. Denazify Ukraine. This is not true. Ukraine is a country with a Jewish president, I might add, whose father's 3 brothers were all murdered by the Nazis. You see, Ukraine did not start this war. Neither did nationalists or Nazis. Those in power in the Kremlin started this war. This is not the Russian...
I mean, like, Putin, because Schwarzenegger's speaking to him, Putin's going to decide that, like, you know what? Yes, Ukrainians, they did start the war. And I think Putin knows that. I think this is just propaganda. He's, like, trying to feed his people.
No. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, what you should know is that 141 nations at the UN voted that Russia was the aggressor and called for it to remove its troops immediately. Only 4 countries in the entire world voted with Russia. That is a fact. See, the world has turned against Russia because of its actions in Ukraine. Whole city blocks have been flattened by Russian artillery and bombs, including a children's hospital and a maternity hospital.
I don't know. I think if he didn't call this, like his message to Putin, like if he just, like, titled the video, like my thoughts on the Ukraine war, it wouldn't come across as like, narcissistic.
3 million Ukrainian refugees, mainly women, children, and elderly, fled their country, and many more trying to seek to get out. It is a humanitarian crisis. Because of its brutality, Russia is now isolated from the Society of Nations. You're also not being told the truth about the consequences of this war on Russia itself. I regret to tell you that thousands of Russian soldiers that have been killed. They've been...
Do you think God, Shab, why don't you mute yourself whenever you do that?
I'd have to mute myself in 2 different things, Gene.
Shab.
2 things.
Don't you think most of what he's saying is just kind of stating the obvious? He's stating something that, like, everyone already knows about this issue, like, even people that barely, like, tune in.
I didn't know that. I thought Russia was just
Caught with the
defending
Ukrainians fighting for
themselves.
their homeland.
That's what I was thinking this whole time.
Massive amounts of Russian equipment have been destroyed or abandoned.
Like, I thought
The destruction
Ukraine
of
was
Russian
being a
bombs are
big
raining down upon innocent
douchebag
civilians.
and hurt Russia, and Russia was just defending themselves. That's not what's happening?
Yeah.
I thought Ukraine attacked Russia, and then Russia is just attacking back because they're trying to defend themselves. Pretty sure that's what's happening. You need to pay attention, Gene.
They need to make, like, an Expendables 4 where, like, Rambo and Conan the Barbarian go to Russia to, like, dethrone Putin. What do you think?
Dethrone your penis.
Has so outraged the world that the strongest global economic sanctions ever taken have been imposed on your country. Those who don't deserve it on both sides of the war will suffer. The Russian government has lied not only to the citizens, but to its soldiers. Some of the soldiers were told they were going to fight Nazis. Some were told that the Ukrainian people would greet them like heroes. And some were told that they were simply going on exercise. They didn't even know that they were going into war. And some were told that they were there to protect ethnic Russians in Ukraine.
Once again, like, it's the stuff that I think most people that just kind of periodically tune into this already know. Like, a lot of them were told it's just training
None of
exercises.
this is true. The fact is that Russian soldiers have faced fierce resistance from the Ukrainians who want to protect their families and their country. When I see babies being pulled out of ruins, I think that I'm watching a documentary about the horrors of the Second World War, not the news of the day. Now, let me tell you, when my father arrived in Leningrad, he was all pumped up on the lies of his government. And when he left Leningrad, he was broken, physically and mentally. He lived the rest of his life in pain. Pain from a broken back, pain from the shrapnel that always reminded him of his terrible years.
I know, like, Schwarzenegger was in the Austrian, like, military, But he actually went AWOL for like some like bodybuilding competition and we got in trouble.
Pain from the guilt that he felt. To the Russian soldiers listening to this broadcast, you already know much of the truth that I've been speaking. You've seen it with your own eyes. I don't want you to be broken like my father. This is not the war to defend Russia that your grandfathers or your great-grandfathers fought. This is an illegal war. Your lives, your limbs, your futures are being sacrificed for a senseless war condemned by the entire world. Now, to those in power in the Kremlin, let me just ask you, why would you sacrifice this young man for your own ambitions? To the soldiers who are listening to this...
Because he's an evil, malevolent dictator and he doesn't care about the lives of others. He cares about his own gain.
Remember that 11 million Russians have family connections to Ukraine. So every bullet you shoot a brother or a sister. Every bomb or every shell that falls is falling not on an enemy, but on a school, or a hospital, or a home. I know that the Russian people are not aware of such things are happening.
Once again, it's just like, this whole video is kind of like, let's give like an abridged, like synopsis of like what's been going on in the last year. And it's like...
So I urge the Russian people and the Russian soldiers...
Don't you think it's a bit virtue signaling, Shab?
Ukraine, to understand the propaganda and the disinformation that you're being told. I ask you to help me spread the truth.
Who's the Terminator and the, what was it?
All the Russians know.
Total Recall guy and everything.
Whenever he talks, all you see is his bottom teeth. It's weird.
War. You're leading this war. You can stop this war. Now, let me close with a message to all of the Russians who have been protesting on the streets against the invasion of Ukraine. The war is extremely We know that you have suffered the consequences of your courage. You have been arrested, you have been jailed, and you have been beaten.
Yes.
You are my new heroes. You have the strength of Yuri Petrovich.
You're Schwarzenegger's heroes, so keep it up.
Vlasov. You have the true heart of Russia. My dear Russian friend.
Yeah, not Putin.
I don't like celebrities that fucking have to chime in or give their fucking 2 cents on global...
But you're okay when we do it.
Hey, he's not just a celebrity. He was a...
Yeah.
He was a...
I got like 200 YouTube subscribers. I mean, yeah.
No, he was... What was he in California? He was the governor of California. Yeah.
And that's when he slept with his housekeeper.
That's the best time
to
sleep with your housekeeper.
Like a murderer because he was friends with the father.
He was a good friend. Jane, shut the fuck up. Okay, bitch.
Jose, tonight, Russia.
Yeah, don't you think if your parent has connections, you should be able to get away with murder?
Yes. Jane.
Drastic response after 9 drones fired at his Black Sea fleet in the port of Crimea. Now, video posted by the Ukrainian military showing the moment they say the drone struck. In retaliation, Russia says it's pulling out of an agreement that would allow some 9 million tons of grain to leave Ukraine.
So wait, so are the drones fired into Russia's flag? So are they firing, like Ukraine's firing the drones at Russia?
Ukrainian ports. The World Food Program has said that this war could cause unprecedented hunger, and tonight, the Ukrainian foreign minister saying that Russia needs to stop what he calls their, quote, hunger games. Jose?
Thanks for watching our YouTube.
Okay, so it's more like attrition tactics where they're firing at like grain ports or whatever to try to starve them for the winter.
Oh, they're doing the same thing with energy as well. They're trying to cut off. Yeah.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a return to the dark.
I guess they're trying to cause as much collateral as they can to, I guess, pressure them into like negotiations and everything.
Days of old when great powers routinely tried to conquer their smaller neighbors. But this war is being fought in 2022 with new technologies that are reshaping warfare. Among the most important are drones. Now, there's been a lot of breathless coverage on drone strikes, so let me explain what drones can and cannot do. In the first few weeks of the war, Ukrainians hailed the use of Turkish-made Bayraktar drones in beating back the Russian invasion. Videos circulated of those drones pounding Russian convoys with laser-guided explosives. Grateful Ukrainians named animals and babies Bayraktar, a song about...
You know, that's the way to win the war. Make a bunch of cute kitten videos.
The Bayraktar went viral. Days, Russia has grabbed headlines with control. Iran...
It's like what ISIS did. They had like their own like social media pages where they posted like videos of them with like kittens and puppies. Try to like improve their image.
Made kamikaze drones. These don't fire weapons, but are themselves the weapon, sent to smash into targets in Kyiv and other cities. Ukraine has used kamikaze drones against Russia as well. But the focus on attack drones, whether they fire weapons or are themselves the weapon, misses the point. More than being a force on their own in this war, drones have enhanced other forms of power. They are not the heroes, but trusty sidekicks. They generally lack...
We've already discussed this in previous streams. The drone logistics.
You're gay.
Germany is holding an international conference in Berlin to plan Ukraine's post-war reconstruction.
Already discussed the dirty bomb.
Yeah, Gene, you know what we should discuss? Something a little different, okay?
Yeah. Well, you think we've been focusing too much on like one of the biggest wars of the last like few decades?
Hold up.
Should we focus more on like serial killers or kids in Yemen?
Hold up.
It's Halloween, Gene.
It's Halloween, Gene. So
Well,
let's-
I asked my viewers
Dude, Gene.
for some Halloween videos, and they didn't follow through. So
it's Halloween, Gene. So let's
and
focus.
hey, covering guys that murder like hundreds of kids, I think that's Halloween related.
It's Halloween, Gene. So let's focus on the freaks, okay? So show that picture on the screen that I just sent you. I just sent you it in Discord. Let's focus on the freaks, like you should on Halloween. The fucking freaks. Dude, this is probably the worst person that we'll talk about this whole stream. Forget the kid that mutilated other people's ball sacks or whatever the fuck, dude. This shit's crazy, okay? Look at this crazy bastard.
Now, what's funny is he posted this on just one of your random, like, kind of, like, stoner hangout streams, like, from, like, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I just randomly saw it, and yeah, that's his comment. This video is proof just because you smoke weed doesn't make you smart. He doesn't even know how to properly write a sentence, but it's like,
Have you ever claimed that smoking weed?
Yes,
is smart?
that's always been my big claim, is that I smoke weed, and the more weed I smoke, the smarter I get. It's like, how much crack do you smoke in a fucking day, Dark Master dipshit?
Hey, crack does make you smart, Chad.
Like, I smoke weed, and I'm smarter than you, okay? It doesn't take much to be smarter than you. You just have to be smarter than a German Shepherd. Or maybe more like a Chihuahua.
Well, like, what I like is, like, when people do streams where they're, like, drinking or like, smoking weed and they're clearly high or drunk, and then people are like, oh, yeah, look at how stupid they are. And it's like they're acting, like identically to how, like, 100% of people act when they're drunk or stoned.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Gene? What are you saying as I'm pouring this beer?
And I think a lot of people, it's like they engage in that kind of like mental gymnastics where if I don't like the person and they're doing a stream where they're drinking and they're drunk, look at how much of an idiot they are.
Oh, they're
Like,
idiots.
Being drunk has nothing
Yeah,
to do
it's
with
like-
it. But if I like the person, well, they're drunk.
But it's like, let's talk about it. Let's turn it in the way of like alcohol. Imagine if this comment was on a drinking stream and it's like, this video is proof that just because you drink beer, it doesn't make you smart. It's like, who the fuck is claiming this?
Drinking moonshine is what makes
Who's when, at what point ever did I claim that me smoking weed makes me smart? Like, it's just so stupid. I don't have to smoke weed to be smarter than you. I just have to have an IQ above room temperature to be smarter than
there
you.
you go, talking
Dark
about IQ.
Master. You're a
Well,
fucking
automatically
dumb
arrogant,
ass.
bring up IQ, Chad.
It was like my last stream on the Shabisky channel, Agent, I'm pretty sure.
No, like you shared the link with me. It was like a video from like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but I don't stream on there very often, the Shabisky channel.
But that's like saying, okay, I'm gonna use the alcohol reference. That's like saying I won a Nobel Prize blacked out. Like, no one claims that.
No, you drinking beer, you're doing that to get the effect that it gives you, and you like that effect. You know, Drunken Crow's never sitting around being like, hey, I'm drinking beer, and I'm becoming smarter than Gene the more beer I drink.
Downer.
I'm smarter than everyone else. Like, I think that, maybe at some points in your life, smoking weed and sitting around and thinking can help you towards becoming a smarter person. Just thinking is a thing that's necessary for becoming being a smart person. Means you think a lot. You have to think a lot.
Be inquisitive and reminisce and stuff.
But I never claim that me smoking weed makes me smart. It's just so stupid. Dark Master.
This guy, like, he's either a pathological liar, and because he does a lot, or he just has a really bad memory, and he just makes these like things up in his head, and he's too stupid to look into stuff to verify what he's saying.
Yeah, It's like, and it's like Skabibi said in the chat, smoking weed doesn't make you smart or dumb. It makes you high. And it's like, yeah, exactly. I don't smoke weed on my streams to become smart. I smoke weed on my streams because I like getting high on weed. I like the effect that it gives me. That's why that's why I'm drinking wine, because I like the effect it gives me, not because I have some crazy idea that this is going to make me smarter the more wine I drink. The drunker I get, the higher my IQ goes.
You know, Adderall makes you smarter.
Shut up, okay? And I just want to point out to everybody here too that this is the same genius that claims to be 7'1", okay? And if you don't know,
his brother, his brother joined my Discord lately.
Yeah.
And it's like, originally when we did like the 2 videos on him, like calling him out, his brother was like freaking out in the Discord, and I believe he left. So he just casually rejoined recently, and he's just kind of posting like just random vids. And
he's
stuff,
welcome to be there as long as he's cool, just like Dark Master would be welcome if he just would be cool.
Hey, we'd be violating his First Amendment if we like his First Amendment.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Yeah. If we didn't allow him in the Discord, but I just want to make sure everybody here understands this though. This person that made this comment, they are the same person that claimed that they're 7'1". Now, if you don't know, the Big Show, the wrestler, the huge wrestler guy, he's 7 foot tall. Shaquille O'Neal, he's 7'1". So Dark Master, this guy who, if you asked him to take a picture of himself and post it online, he probably would not do such a thing. That's just crazy. But he's also gonna claim at the same time that he's 7'1". He's a giant.
Well, didn't he claim in the videos like, I never said that, even though we have like the clip of him saying
did
that?
He?
Clip on. Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah,
or
that
maybe
was
I'm misremembering, so I'm willing to admit that.
I probably would be calling him out if that was the case on that. But he definitely said that in a stream he was in with Pimp Monk. Pimp Monk called him a little guy or a little dude or whatever. He said, "I'm not a little dude. I'm 7'1". And it's like, really? You're 7'1"? No. I am willing to put a lot. I'm willing to bet a lot of money that if I met Dork Dipshit Master in person, I'm gonna look down at him when I meet him. Hey, Dork Master. He's there's no way. 7'1", I'd be looking at him like this, literally like this. He'd be this giant in front of me. 7'1" is Shaquille O'Neal's exact height. It's crazy. You are not 7'1". You're a lying piece of shit. And I never claimed that smoking weed makes me smart. I'm just smarter than you, just like most human beings. Okay.
Well, and if he's 7'1", if you're 7'1", you're like, oh, I'm gonna be a YouTuber, and like not like be like, oh yeah, I was 7'1", I'm gonna play basketball during high school and then go to college, and oh no, I just after high school I don't want to be a YouTuber.
If he was 7'1", he probably wouldn't even play basketball. Probably wouldn't have like the gait and motor skills and everything play. And he'd be too busy watching Ninjago and Kirby.
Kirby. I like what Scooby said.
Fair, you need a really high IQ to comprehend the Kirby right back at you verse.
Yeah, Mango, what do you think the chances are that he's 7'1"? I'm 6 foot tall, which I'm taller than the average person because of that. And I literally, if I was standing in front of him, I would literally have to look at him like this if he was 7'1". Like he that is the same height as Shaquille O'Neal. He is a lying piece of shit. Okay, fuck you, liar.
Chad, you can't disprove that he's.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm fucking 12 foot tall. Okay, way taller than that guy.
Here's another cheetah video. You think what she's doing is stupid? Now, like I said, like one cheetah isn't that strong or that much of a threat, but an entire like clan of cheetahs could easily kill you. They don't sound happy.
I thought cheetahs were pretty much solid.
No, leopards are jaguars. Cheetahs, they hunt during the day. All the other big cats hunt at night. Lions and leopards and everything. And pumas and tigers are solitary.
Si je me baise, ils vont venir vers moi car alors nous aurons la même taille.
Speaking proper English.
Je fais ça pour vous montrer comme ils sont lâches, pas pour les taquiner. Mais aussi, pour faire monter mon taux d'adrénaline. Dès que vous leur tournez le dos, ils vous attaquent. Dès que vous les regardez dans les yeux, ils ont peur de vous. Si vous courez, vous êtes une proie. Si vous vous retournez, ils ont peur et s'arrêtent.
What?
So do you think what she's doing is like wise?
I'd do this.
No, that's stupid.
Not do
You need
this.
to visit, like,
You get as close as you can and then you run away a little bit. No, they're gonna fucking come after you.
Oh, we need to go to South Africa or Namibia, and we need to find a wild, like, pack of cheetahs.
Yeah, and do this.
Yeah. Oh.
This is the stupidity I was talking about earlier. Like, oh yeah, I'm a cheetah trainer. I go out into the wild and
A cheetah whisperer.
I fuck with cheetahs, and then you know.
You want to fuck cheetahs?
Couple,
Oh, now I'm doing a chat.
No, a couple weeks later. Oh yeah, we can't find this woman. Oh, what happened to her? Ah, she was eaten by fucking cheetahs. Who would have guessed?
Who would have thunk?
We were moving into this farmhouse with 16 feral cats on the property.
The realtor said they don't really think they can catch the cats. Is it going to be a deal breaker? And I said, no.
Oh my god. Come on. I wanted to just start spending a lot of time with them, so I would start just hanging out in my driveway. I would sit out there.
We were watching like Night of the Lepus. It's like, yeah, that's what you call a group of cats. They're a colony.
I would throw treats for them.
Hi, Dusty.
Look at those cats colonizing their property.
Over time, I kind of started adding stuff. I would get some catnip, or maybe I'd bring out some toys. Every night I would come home from work, and the cats would be in the driveway waiting for me. We were able to fix all 16.
And they've all been vaccinated.
The previous owners were keeping them out in this shed that was not the greatest. It was missing doors and windows, so it wasn't protecting them from the elements.
Now, cats were domesticated from African wildcats that look just like domestic cats. They are social animals, so they sleep together and hang out with each other and stuff, but they are solitary hunters. Cheetahs and lions, they hunt in groups, so they're, yeah.
The cats really didn't have any shelter to be safe in. So from there, our thought process was, these cats need better shelter.
We have an outdoor storage room.
There wasn't anything that we were really using, so I was like, you know what? Maybe we should create a cat room for these cats. It just slowly snowballed from there. Okay, so
why don't you like adopt like 20
top
cat shab to hang out with Jack? Imagine
Alright,
if
I'll
you,
do it.
Yeah, convert one of your rooms into like a little like cat sanctuary, and then Jack will leave you alone because he'll have a bunch of cat friends.
You'll have cat friends.
Alright, definitely need some of these beds. Some bowls. Some food bins. I think that's the one. Let's feed it. Definitely gonna need a lot of these.
Yeah, they're really gonna deck it out.
Some electric so that we can get some actual heat in there for them.
We decided to make a little catwalk for them. Actually perfect. We built higher up shelves where they can get
You
real
have
high.
16 cats and you're
cats is
building
fine.
pretty
Cats are
much
already loving them.
a fucking apartment for them.
Yeah,
I-
like rich white people with little like turning their storage rooms into cat apartments, buying like fucking portable heaters and stuff for them.
I grew up out in the country. I had like 30 to 40 fucking cats. You know how many I ran over just coming home from school?
Crow?
Just accidentally. Just like
Accidentally?
Scooted into the fucking driveway.
You weren't doing like a Pomeroy or whatever, where you were just
No. I wasn't,
transitioning
you know,
into a killer, starting with
No.
animals.
fucking driving my stick shift fucking pickup, just getting into the driveway or the garage and just All of a sudden, now I have 39 cats.
Were you like the South Dakota, like the Mangler or whatever?
South Dakota kitty killer.
Were you the guy that all these people died from these hidden runs? Turns out that you were the one behind all those vehicular homicides.
Yeah, because I don't have my glasses, and I thought they were cats.
The vehicular killer.
That's up here. We got new bowls for them. We got the cat tree. Of course, the catwalk. Another
Got the
tree.
catnip.
Nice big beds for them to cuddle in.
They absolutely love the cat room.
Look at these like moochers and everything. Like squatting at their place.
It's been just the best feeling, and they just seem so happy, and that just makes us so happy. When we first moved in, we were definitely overwhelmed by them. Now we look at them as part of our family. I can't even imagine going outside and not seeing all my cats there anymore.
I remember when I would go out there.
Yeah, Shad, how many views do you think you'd get if you create a little cat apartment?
I should start exploiting cats, you're
They were
right.
young, they were so skittish.
Yeah.
And now I come home and they'll come up to me and they want some sort of attention. I'm like, I forgot those are even feral cats.
I think the best part is just having
Look
that
at them exploiting homeless cats for money.
unconditional love that the cats have given us. They've taught me a lot about
Cancel,
loving animals.
what
They
is it, the
they
dodo?
deserve and they want to be loved. We're going to be doing a remodel on our house hopefully this summer, and that means the cat room's going to be getting quite a big upgrade. I
Yeah,
really
now
want to
they're
do
putting
little
them in
house hubbies for each of the
cages.
cats.
And I want more catwalk systems and just bridges and all kinds of cool tunnels and things like that.
Well, where's the cat
Just give them
boxes
any cat
at? They
food,
just
you
go
know,
outside?
Yeah, I guess. Looks like they had a little cat door or whatever there.
Yeah. They're all pissing and shitting everywhere inside their new cat.
Cat colony out of control. Neighbors in Elk Grove say one man is taking care of dozens of feral cats. Those cats are taking over the whole
I used to live in Elk Grove. When I was a little kid, I lived in Elk Grove.
I need to read more. CBS 13's worth.
Maybe that's why that community's just going downhill.
Yeah, ever since I left.
Well, Adrian, these cats are littering these logs with feces.
No, they're still recovering from like you actually residing there.
A bit of a lingering smell, and after years of complaining to the city and nothing being done, some people are trying to leave here once and for all.
It's a bad smell and it's disgusting, and I can't blame it.
Caitlin Nguyen says she's lived with this cat problem in her Elk Grove neighborhood.
I didn't live in a nice neighborhood like this, little rich kid. What the hell's going on here?
Dude, did the cats really like create that level of odor?
For years, and now her family is moving to another part of town.
Because the cats poop all over the place.
Something we saw firsthand in her backyard, in places Caitlin and her sister would otherwise play.
I think the odor's just left over from when Shab was there.
Here, there's some over there, then there's a pile back there.
They attracted all the felines, and now they're blaming it on the felines.
It's the same story across the street for Ben Dang and his family. He calls it a
Well,
health concern for
this
his
is
young
what
kids.
happens when you have 16 cats and you build a room for them.
Well, this is a different area.
No, I guarantee you there's someone in that area that has 16 to 20 cats.
Well, I don't know if those people did it, but if I was those people building that room for the 16 cats, I probably would have got every one of those cats neutered and fixed.
Well, they did, but that doesn't stop the fucking piss and shit problem.
It stops the problem from like it's after they die. There's like it reduces that problem by a lot.
Yeah, well, that's something they. Yeah, that's like dog catchers. Like that occupation went away because they would catch the dogs and get them neutered and stuff. And the irony there is like it was really a job that only provided people with work for like 30 years. That's something they've been doing. Like they're starting to make it illegal for people to allow their cats to roam and be outdoor cats, and that is something that a lot of there are organizations that will find the street cats, get them neutered, so they'll stop reproducing. But that's caused another issue. Like a lot of cities and stuff, they've had an increase in rodents because they don't have the alley cats to eat the rodents. So we got to get all the rats neutered. Yeah.
I can't stand it anymore. You know, I lose patience. He says his next door neighbor has been feeding about 30 cats for 5 years. Some we saw outside and around the neighborhood too. We saw someone picking up the cat droppings
Arrest
in
him.
the neighborhood. Neighbors say the owner hired someone to do the dirty job.
Cats,
If you have that many,
30.
you can much create a problem to your neighbor. Dang said
They're a colony.
as the cats eat the vegetables in his garden, fish in his koi pond, and leave plenty of surprises behind.
Prizes.
Go and poop right in there. We tried speaking with the homeowner, but he didn't answer the door. So we asked the city, is keeping this many cats legal? Animal Control says yes, because this homeowner is what's called a feral cat colony caretaker. This is a volunteer who goes and traps cats and brings them to the city to get them spayed. But the city tells us to do this, you don't need any registration or license, and these volunteers aren't monitored either. It's something that neighbors aren't happy to hear about. We try to live freely, but we can't. Well, some cats behind here aren't afraid to be on camera saying that.
You get yourself a doggy dog, cool
The
guy.
goal is actually to cut.
One thing is
He
like
needs
they
to get
don't
himself
like
a
it.
doggy dog.
Well, like a lot of like professionals, they say that you're not supposed to take in and adopt like feral like cats, and then like one of the issues here is like if you try to take them to like a shelter or whatever, like a lot of them wouldn't take them in because they have this like, oh no, they belong outdoors and stuff like that. So that's something I don't get.
I don't on the feral cat population.
Her face when you paused it earlier, like 5 seconds earlier, was scary.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that.
It was scary.
Yeah.
On the feral cat population.
It's appropriate for Halloween.
Clearly a big problem there. Hopefully they can find some solutions here soon. Marissa, thanks.
To the case against the parents of admitted school shooter Ethan Crumbley.
We already covered this. Next vid.
This morning, the FBI is joining the search for potentially dozens of bodies after an Iowa woman came forward claiming her father was a serial killer.
We are actually investigating this, and who wouldn't?
Authorities are searching an area in Fremont County, Iowa, where a woman, now 53, says as a child she helped her dad, Donald Dean Studi, dispose of up to 70 bodies at the bottom of a well. She claims her father abducted.
Do you think she should be charged as like an accessory?
No, she's cool.
I guess it depends on how young she was.
And then killed them over a 30-year period. Most of the victims, she claims, were female sex workers and transients from Omaha.
All we have is a woman came forward and told us a story about bodies in a well.
Cadaver dogs have started searching the farmland that used to belong to the family. And though the well no longer exists, authorities say the dogs did react to possible human remains.
We did bring a couple cadaver dogs. Cadaver dogs looked in there and, looked around the area, and they did indicate in the area. I'm not going to say it was right over the well or where, but they did indicate in the area.
Studi died in 2013. His daughter tells Newsweek he made a living by smuggling guns and drugs. And according to court records obtained by Newsweek, Studi spent...
Jesus. Well, this guy never saw justice. Seems like sounds like he was doing like an American-made thing, like a Barry Seal thing.
Now, if you want to get away with murder, okay, so you dig a hole, you bury the body, and then...
Hey, you're giving advice. You're going to get the channel taken down. Don't tell people. Shab always gets mad at me when I'm trying to explain how to not get caught with murder.
Okay, fine. I'll keep that to myself. You guys can find out your
Just
own
do it on
way.
Shab streams.
time in prison for larceny and drunk driving. The sheriff says this story has been a rumor for years, but since Studi is no longer alive, he says there was no immediacy to start the search.
It's a big mission for a small county.
The woman's older sister argues these allegations against her father are not true. Authorities will meet next week to discuss how to best continue the search for...
Do you think the daughter did it and she's just using her father as like a fall guy?
Possible victim.
70 people? 70 bodies?
I think they said 12 bodies initially.
No. She said 70.
Oh, yeah. 70 people. Jesus.
Dozens of bodies after an Iowa woman came forward claiming her father was a serial killer.
We are actually investigating this.
Oh, I thought they said a dozen bodies. It's dozens of bodies.
Authorities are searching an area in Fremont County, Iowa, where a woman, now 53, says as a child she helped her dad, Donald Dean Studi, dispose of up to 70 bodies at the bottom of...
Do you think maybe because her father passed away and he can't really testify or whatever, give his own like account, do you think maybe she was the one behind it?
I mean, I would do the same thing. Like, like my dad's dead. He did it.
Yeah.
This isn't your typical school bus. Thank you. Bye. Evan started his doggy daycare business in 2019 and had vans wrapped to look like school buses to take the pooches to play. But he never thought about getting a real school bus until last year.
Everybody was asking,
is that illegal?
When are you going to get an actual school bus? That would be such a hit. I was just pilling around and looking online for some, and this one became available, and it was a really good deal. And so I went and checked it out. I had a mechanic check it out, and I ended up buying it, and it's been the best decision I probably made with my business.
Yeah, the only reason you do it is to make it look cute.
15 to 20 dogs get picked up in the morning. Good girl. Sit with their besties on the way to the ranch.
They all have their best friends, their cliques, if you will.
And get to play with them for hours.
We have the bubbles, the kiddie pools, the constant toys, the balls being thrown. We have a ball launcher, an automatic ball launcher. The majority of my dogs, they live in apartments, a 700 square foot efficiency. They don't have a yard space. They don't get a lot of stimulation throughout the week. So really getting to get out and get to see other dogs and do what they love to do and socialize and get to play is really the best part of their day, in my opinion.
And at the end of that day, the dogs get back onto the bus alongside their best buddies to ride on home. Bye, Pinky! But the dogs and their owners aren't
I need to start a transportation service. Instead of it being for dogs, I'm going to create a ferret daycare. Then I'm going to get I'm going to get a Jeep or a van, and it's going to be for a ferret pickup service or ferret transit service. And then the the vehicle's going to smell terrible because ferrets fucking smell.
The only ones who love the bus.
I've had people reach out to me on social media and send me pictures of the bus. I had a lady messaging me that made her kid's day. She was in a car seat at the stoplight next to us, and she rolled down her window and she's waving all the dogs and things like that. And the lady took a picture and said what a day it made for her daughter to actually see dogs on a real school bus.
But Evan says there still may be just a few downsides.
What I'm finding is, and it might sound silly, but my school bus is the hardest one to maneuver around traffic because it's the largest vehicle I own. It also gets the worst gas mileage of all my vehicles.
So will we be
Now,
seeing
does it have the stop sign that opens up, like when he opens the door? So that's the thing that I think, like, is that legal, or maybe that has to be like uninstalled or something?
for doggy school buses?
Honestly, the cargo vans are more efficient and easier to maneuver around, especially Austin traffic.
I was thinking more about how the bus is a short bus, and no matter.
Well, I mean, dogs are retarded.
Whoa!
I'm glad you said it, and I didn't.
Whoa!
Yeah, like 5-10 years from now, somebody's going to be like, let's look at all the crude things that John Morgan said.
And I'll show them this.
But the people are
They're going to get like the blackmail compilation.
speaking, and they love the school buses. So I'm definitely exploring the idea of swapping some of these cargo vans out for actual
I know
school
like
buses.
a lot of private schools, they got like small buses and stuff for like sports games and stuff. And like the high school I went to, they had like a bus that was like at the school, like to take the kids to sporting events.
We'll see what the future holds, right?
Here's a fox. I don't know, the lighting and stuff, it makes it look kind of like a animatronic.
Yeah, it looks fake.
Yeah. It's like what is it? Fantastic Mr. Fox. Dude, but apparently foxes are like 2-year-olds. And it's like a lot of dogs, they're like very rambunctious like the first couple years. But apparently like foxes never like mellow down and everything. They kind of just are overly hyper and stuff. They're like a puppy on crack for like pretty much most of their like lifespan.
Yeah, John, didn't you want a fox for a really long time? The Russians for like 40, 50 years, they bred almost domesticated foxes.
No, I think they've domesticated them. But I make jokes about like owning exotic pets all the time. So here's Clowns.
Did you go see it? I went to see it last night and my wife chicken.
Complaining about it because it gives clowns a bad name.
No, so I was Billy No Mates. I went on my own, sat there, and I don't like horror movies, so I sat there as scared as you guys. And yeah.
You weren't dressed like this.
No, that would have been weird, wouldn't it? Sat there, what about you?
He doesn't like horror movies.
Well, he doesn't
I
like
don't
horror
watch horror
movies.
films.
He doesn't like it giving clowns a bad name. Well, both of them touched me when I was little.
Look at Shab's face.
Yeah, it's because
Ooh.
both of these guys don't look like they should be a certain they should be a certain amount of feet away from any school or anything like that. I'm thinking, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fucking bigot.
You don't think they should run their own daycare?
Oh my god. Maybe I'm just a bigot, but both of these guys to me look like some fucking weirdos.
Clownophobic.
And I wouldn't want my
Clowns.
kids
Walt
to
Disney
be
did horror.
anywhere near them if I had any. Nowhere near these
So
fuckers.
I chicken
And what do you think of because it was the original, I think it was 1986, the book, which is usually cited as the start of people's fear of clowns.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Slightly scared now.
the term
God, isn't he a comedy expert?
Yeah, he's a
when
cringe
the claustrophobia or
expert.
fear of masks turned up was in the mid-80s.
Yeah.
So whether the two are linked together.
Tell me about this particular clown.
It's not a clown.
Pennywise.
It's not a clown.
It's not a clown.
No, what it is, it's a horror movie, and he's immortal, and he has to feed every 27 years, and he's a bit like Dracula, in that he has to feed, and he morphs into many different beings.
Dude, this dude reminds me of the last
clown.
clown person you showed on here. How their makeup was just horrible, and their whole design as a clown looked horrible. It's like, what is up with this design going on with them? It looks horrible, and what really throws me off too is the lip thing. It's white on the bottom lip.
Yeah.
The top lip ain't got nothing going on, and I'm just like, why?
Well,
Like,
J, he mentions like clowns haven't really had a career since like 30 years prior to it, and it's like, yeah, I think there's something wrong with you if you're trying to like make a career out of being a clown within the last like few decades. It's like clearly not a feasible like job and everything.
Well,
like,
it's almost like 50s, 60s version of like vaudeville, and we're still trying to keep it alive.
I mean, what I don't get is it's like, why not just become an entertainer, like a magician or something? It's like
that
clown
takes talent,
gag.
Gene.
Yeah, that's probably why they want to like enforce the clown thing, because they can just show up
They
and
just
make up
want to
and
hang
make a
around
bunch
lots
silly
of
noises.
toddlers, very young kids, and want them to be easily entertained by their stupid design and makeup.
Yeah.
I blame ICP.
He morphs into him at one point to fool his bigger brother Billy into following him. But it's nothing to do with clowning, and everything to do with a cheap Hollywood movie that's taking millions of pounds.
It is.
Because they don't need Brad Pitt,
It is.
they don't need Tom Cruise. The guy who's playing the clown, never heard of him. So
it's grossed 117 million in America.
Exactly.
When it opened on Friday, and 62 million in 46 other countries. A lot of people disagree with you. They're really scared.
No, the audience last night was packed. The cinema was packed. I've got no problem with the film. It's a cheap budget movie, poor CGI graphics. I reckon the guy who invented the fidget spinner has also done.
Yeah, it's just a terrible movie.
Yeah, you can't say fucking cheap CGI unless he's talking about the made-for-TV series.
That was stop motion.
Back in 19 whatever.
Yeah, it had some pretty bad stop motion, but yeah.
It did, but if he's talking, I mean, kind of. But for that time, it was top of the line, and then in the new version, you can't be fucking saying that shit. I mean, because, like, the CG and everything, modern day shit, top of the line.
Well, I like the first part of, like, the new film. So the first film where they were kids, the second one I thought was bad. Which is kind of like that in the book.
They left a lot of stuff out in the book between the made-for-TV version and the movie, because apparently there was supposed to be an orgy in the book, which never happened.
Yes, I understand why they left that out. But even in the miniseries, people said they liked the first part where they were kids better than the second part. And I'd say in the book, first part where they were children was better written, more entertaining. It got really boring once you get into them being adults and going back to put an end to the creature.
This film, because they spent as little money as possible and for maximum effect.
What about the white face? Is that an Elizabethan style?
Well, I mean, the white face with the big forehead, certainly we can sort of look at, sort of the
white face, not black face.
Elizabethan style. But it's a style of makeup which was quite popular back in the 80s when the film came out. I mean, we've moved on 30 years now, and the white face clown is nowhere near as popular.
But clowns, I mean, have been getting a bad reputation, especially, I mean, last year.
What if a black person dressed up as a clown and they painted their face white? Would that be racist?
I'd be offended.
The
Like
killer
I
clowns
said,
cast, we talk about it a lot here on this program. A lot of people
the modern version, or like 50s, 60s version of vaudeville. Oh, you can't do blackface anymore. Okay, well, we're gonna dress up as, clown.
Whiteface.
I mean, this
If I dressed up as Robert Downey Jr., could I then do blackface and it would be okay?
But yeah, didn't he in what was
if
Tropic Thunder?
Could I dress up as Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder for Halloween? Would I get in trouble?
Well, it is Halloween right now, so you wouldn't get in trouble.
All right, I'm about to do some blackface. Hold on a second, guys.
That film didn't receive major backlash because of that. It came out in 2008 or whatever.
Well, White Chicks did the same thing because
But that's whiteface, so it's okay.
Well, no, but they did. I don't know what the equivalent to when in the first couple minutes of the opening scenes or whatever, they were playing as Spanish people.
It's like Eddie Murphy, where he did Asian face and Morbid.
I'm offended.
What, by Eddie Murphy?
I'm offended by anything and everything.
Well, what do you call it if somebody who isn't Asian dresses up as an Asian person?
Cultural appropriation, Gene.
Hilarious.
Hilarious.
Blackface if you're a white person who
Star Wars, and George Lucas.
Yeah, like blackface has been taboo for quite a while. Like I would say, like since like the 50s, 60s, and everything. But it seems like white people playing like those who are like Middle Eastern or Indian or like Asian, like that was something that was like accepted up until like the 90s. Like in Short Circuit, they had a white guy playing an Indian character, and
shit, what was his name?
Apu in Simpsons.
No, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Do you know that movie?
Yeah, I know of it. I've never seen it.
Okay, well, there's a white guy. He's dead now, but yeah, he played a very obviously racist Asian person, and he had the whole like glasses and the like teeth,
protruding teeth.
Yeah, I can't. Is it Mickey Rooney? I want to say Mickey Rooney.
Damn. Well, it's probably because like they make up like only like 1% of the population, so there isn't enough like outcry and everything.
Brilliantly introduced special effects, and a lot of studio houses couldn't keep up with it, and they couldn't keep up with this ridiculous high budget actors were demanding. So it was a really easy trick to put someone in a scary clown costume and use poor special effects and make a cheap film. And it does pack houses. There's no doubt that people are into scary films, and that's great for them. But it is just sometimes it's lazy journalism.
But regardless of that, it must have an effect on your business. I mean, do you find that now because of this, people?
What do you think of what he did right there? See, Shab always gets up during the best parts.
Do you find that now because of this, people want less kid parties involving clowns, or is it the same?
Well, I represent Clowns International, and he represents.
Wait, Shab. Here, look at what this guy does.
I mean, do you find that now because of this, people want less kid parties involving clowns, or is it the same?
Well, I represent Clowns International, and he represents.
I represent.
We've got many types of clowns. Clowns who do brilliant work in hospitals.
I represent PDF files.
People who do parties.
And just to state, my buddy here represents PDF files in the whole country. Yeah. And then my other friend here represents PDF files.
What happens if you
Whatever.
people who have the claustrophobia?
Globally.
Very rarely. I mean, if I'm out working, it tends to be people will drop their eyes down or they'll move away from me if I'm working or performing.
But he's got a little book in his overalls called Andy
doesn't come
Clown.
up to me. I mean, I don't like
Oh, no. Look at where his book's located.
I don't go anywhere near it. That's my choice to keep away. And I think people do that the same with the clown.
Do you think he wants a certain age group to reach down there?
Yeah, I bet he tells kids, hey, reach down there and grab that book if you want to read it.
Read
so
a book.
bad. Yeah. Just like my 5th grade teacher.
The movie It, about a demon clown terrorizing children, is set to smash the box office this weekend, but it's having the opposite effect on those who count on red noses and big shoes to make a living. Denver
I know, like, during the Joker movie, a bunch of clowns came out and were, like, bitching about it. Protested the movie.
Now we're
Gives
behind
clowns
the
a bad name.
My clown name is Chica. This is my livelihood.
Yet for Rosalina Trevino,
It's been really tough.
and
My clown name is Chica.
it's getting worse.
Our work has gone down. People have not asked us to come into the birthday parties, and our new membership has gone down.
The World Clown Association
Doesn't look like a clown.
released this stance ahead of the movie's release, saying people dressed as horror clowns are not real clowns.
I think if you want a fucking clown at your birthday, you're
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, you're some sort of psychotic.
You need to be locked up. You shouldn't be allowed near other people.
You're taking something.
You get more time in prison than Louis Gaverdo.
And perverting
I
it to
think
create
you're
fear in their
more
audience.
fucked up than the person that shows up in a clown costume.
We're here to want to make people laugh, you know,
Probably
and
true.
especially the children. I love children, so for the adults to keep us away.
Yeah,
you know,
this kind of thing shouldn't be allowed in public.
Away from the children, it's not a fun thing to do
The
anymore.
thing is that, like, it's kids that were obviously the main parties they were going to for this kind of stuff, and they're getting less business. But it's like, it's just shut the fuck up. You're obviously obsessed with this fucking stupid clown makeup shit. Okay, you don't actually care about the career. You're obsessed with this. Do that on the side as a fucking hobby if you need to.
Yeah.
Focus on the career part of it. Like, there's something else you can do to entertain these stupid fucking kids. Surprisingly enough. Peekaboo! You can figure it out. Like, fucking A. If the clown thing ain't working, take another route. There's a million other routes to entertain these dumb little kids. Like, seriously.
Is it dressed up in like a SpongeBob costume?
Yeah, exactly. Is it really that complicated? It's like, no, you have like some clown dressing up fetish problem thing going on, and you can't just let that be something separate from your work life. It's like, figure out something else to do, you weirdo.
Do you think they sleep in that clown getup?
I bet they fuck in it, dude.
Don't kink shame.
Dude, I'm gonna kink shame when they're acting like they're victims because the market changes.
You've never fucked in a clown suit?
Dude, this is like somebody who owns a strawberry fucking like farming company and stuff, and then they're surprised that at some point strawberries aren't being bought as much, and they're acting like they're a victim. It's like, no, you went down that route, and like it's gonna do as good as it does. Yeah, start growing oranges instead if that's gonna make you more money. Just shut the fuck up and stop acting like you're a victim because the market changed. That's just like, you're not gonna bitch.
It's also like, even when like maybe the market was at its like kind of peak, maybe like 10, 20 years ago, where they were making the most money they could off of it, I don't think they were making much money off of this. I don't think it's the most lucrative trade. So it seems like there's a lot of other jobs they could get where they need a lot more money.
It's a dying trade. I totally get. It's like being one of like P.T. Barnum's freak show attractions. Like, we don't do that anymore. And then, now we have clowns. Okay, well, now what do we got?
Be fair,
nothing.
Maybe really young kids do like clowns, because if you look at those like shows for really young kids, a lot of them are really fucking creepy.
Courage the Cowardly.
Sorry, most are great, but...
Well, I mean, not even that. I'm talking about like I don't know, like shit like Teletubbies and like those what's the one? Gabba Gabba.
Blue's Clues.
I don't know if Blue's Clues is that creepy, but a lot of those shows where it's like people dressing up in costumes and stuff.
Yeah, like that one. I forget what it's called, but there's one with like a bunch of real people dressed up and a little girl and stuff like that. And I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of creepy and it reminds me of these people dressed up the way they are.
Oh shit!
I don't know what it's called. It was called like something Town or something like that. I don't know.
Lazy Town.
Lazy. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's exactly it. See, that's like that's what these
remember
people
this.
remind me of. Yeah. It's only on the left side.
It's marvelous, magnificent.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I can't imagine life without the letter.
You don't think you'd be into this if, like, you were a kid?
He has like a frog mouth.
Yeah, if I even thought of that, sober, drunk, asleep, awake, I would put a gun in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Walking, you have to stop.
Oh.
Red means stop. Oh, why?
Exactly. This is
Yeah.
very foolish.
It's definitely creepier than like any horror film.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seems like young kids, I don't know, kind of like really gross and disgusting, uncanny stuff.
You know, they do say that like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they don't really have any empathy, so they are like little psychopaths. So maybe because we're all like psychopaths at the age of 2, maybe that's why we like this like really disgusting stuff. I don't know, so maybe young kids do like clowns.
So what you're saying is, since that last frame had a bat in it, there's going to be someone that goes to school and beats the shit out of someone with a bat.
Probably. Gene deserves that, I bet.
But the scary clown craze is angering local professional clowns who get paid to entertain people.
10 News reporter Candace Crone spoke to 2 women who say pranksters are tarnishing their image.
Grandma hugs make a living being silly and putting a smile on people's faces.
For me, I enjoy watching other people have
Story we did on like how like they're losing nuns and less people, like that's dying as like a trade and stuff like that. So it's like, who cares? That's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that like being a clown is a dying art.
fun, and that makes me have fun.
Rosemary Ballard, whose mother of
Ew.
5, says she became a clown to spread joy.
Arms in the air. All the body.
Although she and Kathy Cannon enjoy clowning around, lately their smiles have turned into frowns by these social media posts of scary clowns threatening to come after people.
Their smiles have been turned into frowns.
I don't think it's fun at all. It might be fun for them, but for the people that they scare, it's not any fun. I don't like being scared.
People in more than 24 states have reported seeing the creepy characters. In those cases, it's all a hoax, but in other cases, people have been assaulted and threatened. The nationwide frenzy now in San Diego with Instagram accounts stating the clown's location. Ballard says there's a difference between those trying to scare people and professionals.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Like her.
The people need to know.
Yeah,
that scary characters are not
I
clowns
remember
for
that.
Halloween.
It was like 2014 where that whole thing where
People need to know that those people scaring people, those are PDF files. Those are just they're trying to scare people. We're PDF files. We're totally different. Sorry, I got to confuse. Like, why are these people so bad at their makeup as clowns? Like, do you not agree that hers is another example?
You could do better, Shab. You're not a professional.
The way that it connects right here for the cheeks at this area rather than the cheek area. The way it
trying to undermine her judgment.
It's horrible design.
She's a pundit in this field of work, Shab.
Horrible makeup work.
I don't think you know better than she does.
I do.
Completely different animal. You can tell by looking at them. They don't look like this. They look mean and they look scary.
Yeah, they're not PDF files like us.
That it tarnishes the image of professional clowns, which affects business. They wanted to speak out in hopes of suppressing the fear.
Ew, wait. Look at that. Look at this clown right here. Like the one to the far right, doesn't that look like a killer? Is it on like a mobility scooter?
Is that Shani?
Yeah. It's like the My 600-Pound Life clown.
It's not fair to the clowns that are trying to make a living or the clowns that are trying to volunteer at different events. You know, when people are scared, we have to back off on them.
Reporting in Bonita, Candace Crone, 10 News.
I'll take grandma hugs and wowzer any day. Local law enforcement agencies say there has been no reported threats of clown-related incidents here.
She'll take what any day? A dick? What'd she say?
Well, like, in the Baltimore, like, Engineers Club, they have a guy there that, like, he's trained to do, like, balloon animals and stuff for, like, when people take their children. But he doesn't dress as a clown. He just, like, he wears the same dress code as, like, everyone else.
Yeah, crazy
And
idea.
like,
Maybe find a new outfit if it's not working. Woo! Yeah, and do the same thing you're already doing. Just do it in a different outfit. Whoa! Holy shit. That's genius, Gene. How'd you come up with such an idea? How are they ever gonna be in business unless... Oh, wait, they could just do that. Oh, and then they're back in business. It's just so
you
stupid.
come to Baltimore, we should go to the Engineers Club.
We should become clowns, Gene.
I can get you in there.
You can get me in your anus?
Well, it is... Like, I'd say that the Engineers Club's kind of bougie. Like, you don't see a lot of younger, like anyone under the age of 30 go, so it's like a gentleman's club. And they require you to wear, like, they require you to wear, like, a jacket and everything, like a dress, jacket, so they do have, like,
Did you not just see Shabisky raise his pinky? He's good enough.
You have to wear dress pants and a collared shirt and,
A colored shirt? I have
Collared
red right.
shirt.
I have red right here. It's colored.
But they do have really good food.
All right, let's go
A
there.
kitten seen being thrown around like a...
Or are you talking about the old term colored?
Yeah, Gene's being racist. Piece of shit.
toy in Sunny Isles Beach, and one local animal lover stepped in to save that baby feline. Now, I spoke to the witness that called police and started recording on the entire incident, just hopeful she could save that little life.
Just a Saturday on Sunny Isles Beach, which started like this, but it ended like this. In late September, 8 officers responding to a scene involving this tiny little kitten.
And the guy started being so aggressive towards me. He started stepping up. He's like, hey, this is my cat. This is not your business. I can do what I want. And then he was like, if you don't want me to draw the cat, give me $1,000 right now.
A very odd situation Natalia Martin chose to get involved in.
So it was literally down there. He has those umbrellas in the middle.
By calling beach security.
Was he dunking the cat in the water?
And eventually the police.
He's using it as
she
a
witnessed this.
They were throwing her like this into the water. They were trying to make her swim, and the cat was so scared. She was passing out already. She was half like alive.
A man and a woman appearing to terrorize that little kitten in the ocean right in front of plenty of beachgoers with cell phones recording.
We're just trying to be crap and throw head gain. Oh, there was like full beach of people. They were trying to look and see what's going on. Everyone was shocked.
They're not idiots.
Fuck that. I don't like cats in general, but that's animal abuse.
Yeah, they're either sadistic pieces of shit or they're just complete total idiots.
Police approached the couple about breaking the no animals on the beach rules. They were also asked to leave.
It's sadistic shit right there. They know what they're doing.
That's when 27-year-old John Laguerre resisted arrest.
Now, if they were doing it to a kid, do you think people would care?
yelling profanities at officers and being defiant.
I would.
While the woman identified by police as 22-year-old Jamaria Wayne screamed at officers, telling them she would bite them. Both were arrested. Now, at this point of all the chaos happening here on the beach, Natalia wasn't.
Wait.
She said she'd bite them.
Yeah, she looks pretty unhinged.
Now, at this point of all the chaos happening here on the beach,
It looks
Natalia
like
wasn't
they're
concerned
on
about charges
something.
or arrests. She only had one thing on her mind: saving that kitten.
The police officer gave me this kitty. I put her into the towel, wrote the police report. Me and my friend, we did the police report. The kitten was saved. Like, she was all shaken. She was barely alive.
Wayne charged with 2 felony counts of battery and attempted battery
She was barely alive.
on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest, while Laguerre was charged with resisting and animal cruelty, both misdemeanor charges. These out-of-towners never went back to animal services to retrieve their cat, something Natalia is thankful for.
I took this cat. I adopted her officially 2 days after this incident.
Oh.
As for those 2 who were arrested, they have since bonded out. They're from out of town. Meanwhile, Natalia was a
Okay, so I'm out of videos for the night. So, how many hours did we get to?
Pretty sure I
we
sent
got.
you stuff and you didn't care to.
Did you send it to me, Shab?
I hate you, Gene.
Where's the spooky
There's one
stuff?
thing. I hate you, Gene. I sent you.
Well,
stuff.
anyway, it's 1 a.m. and it's a work night. So we'll watch it next week. And then tomorrow I'm going to try to play Skeppy J's game.
Really?
When I'm done with work around like 5, 6 o'clock my time, I'm going to try to do a gaming stream.
Whoa.
Yeah, do you got anything you want to like shill Shabisky and everything?
I might go live on Twitch after this.
Might.
I might.
Do it. Do it.
I'll do you.
I'm available.
Okay, I'm on my way.
You got anyway. Remember to like the stream and tune in on Saturday. You need to watch it. Chab's like already got like thousands of subscribers on DD and.
Are you actually gonna go live on Saturday, John, or are you gonna like fuck around?
To be fair, the reason I didn't go live this week is because of Shab. It's his fault.
Nothing's ever my fault.
He wanted to do the Logan Paul thing, so we rescheduled. But well, like all the other weeks when I reschedule, it's always because like I get sick and stuff. It's not my fault.
You get sick. It's not your fault.
Right? It's your
Really?
fault, Gene. All right.
And
Peace out.
yes, Shab. Hasta la vista, people.